Wow. Hi, everybody. Heidi ho. You know what's really interesting is that my camera decides to change its settings when I'm not using it. Really interesting stuff. Changing the color temperature and it keeps like turning the white balance back to automatic. And then I take it off automatic and it goes all crazy. It needs to be at like 27. Hmm? Hmm? It means like the annoying thing is that my videos are not consistent. Like the color temperature and shit keeps changing on my videos because the fucking camera won't remember the settings. Anyway, I'm already in a bad mood. Oh, welcome to the show. Hi. Yes, it's cozy blanket day time because I just haven't been feeling good this week, you guys. I just have not been feeling good. So, we're going to do our best to have a good stream. Okay? This is what we can do. We can have a good stream. All right? You know, we have the ability. Okay, hold on. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to do one of these real quick. Okay, that does bring me close to the top. See, I'm trying to figure out now if the zoom has been... Yeah, because the zoom has also been reset. Why? Anyway, got my Rona shot and my joints are mad. True. I still have like massive bruises on. So I got my flu shot and my COVID shot the same day. So both of my arms. Yeah, my camera is transphobic. I don't like. Why are you being like this? I don't understand. I had everything perfect. Okay, it's like I had it zoomed in slightly because I was like, okay, that fits a little bit better. Okay, so if I have it zoomed in slightly and then I put it like this, which is the way that it usually is. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense now. Okay, that's better. So even if I'm all the way up here, okay, and then I can sit back down like normal, and I'm down here, okay? Perfect. Wow. Amazing. Anyway. So, yeah, I hope everybody's having a good December so far. We're just about halfway through. Y'all, we're just about halfway through December, which means that we're almost done with 2023. Isn't that crazy? Wow. I'm assuming that those of you who are here early are those who are going to be like kind of more the diehard fans, right? If you were around this time last year, you will know that I was pretty stressed out. So now it's anniversary of me being really stressed out time. So this week I just not having a good time. I don't think I'm going to hit my 2023 bingo. What was your 2023 bingo? What was it? You can see I've been chewing on my lip constantly. Stress. Did Zuck, unless Zuck shut down the metaverse when I wasn't looking. No, I don't think the metaverse is going anywhere. I made the wise choice of getting them both in the same arm. Well done, Uncomfy. Yeah, the person who was administering my shots suggested that I should get them in one in each arm. So that's what we did. Maybe I should go ahead and hit this button. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. Anyway. Okay. Wow, oh my god. We're here. We got the colors. It's like a little bit gold and it's a little bit silver in the background. We've got Christmas themes. It's Christmas time. And it's time for rainbow blankets. You know, interestingly enough, I got this blanket for Christmas. Oh, man. How it be, everyone? I feel like death. No, June. That's no good. Beloved Panda says, took my new kitten to the vet today and he got his shots, so he is sleepy. Oh, Eepy. Eepy kittens. I don't want the responsibility of a kitten, but it's, I'm just saying it's been a long time since I've had a kitten around. We have an old man cat who seems to prefer being alone. Like he just seems to be thriving after our other two cats passed away, and I don't want to take that away from him. So, hello, don't know my oh whoa. Welcome in. Oh boy. I'm just like, when you're stressed and you're just like, I'm really tired. Like, I think that for some of us, it's, for me at least, it's a little bit of a, oh, I don't want to deal with this, so I'm going to peace out. Uncomfy with the tier 1 sub. Thank you so much. They said, Spubby, my PayPal was stinky and said no more pee-pee, but I need my dicks. True. Thank you for your sub. Much appreciated. Starting off strong. It's been a pretty tough year, I think, for a lot of people economically. I haven't really looked into the numbers specifically myself, but I have been hearing that, hey, Jiro, welcome to the website chat. Hey, thank you very much for coming in. Hold on. What was I about to say? Hold on. So I haven't really, hold on. So I haven't really looked into it personally as far as the economic situation for 2023, but as I understand it, this year has been, obviously we know the inflation stuff. I know that the inflation is higher than ever. Like the same amount of groceries last year literally cost like twice as much in some places this year. That's pretty wild. And then also I was reading that people purchased fewer items on Black Friday, Cyber Monday this year. Overall, people purchased fewer items, but they spent more money, and more people than ever are using credit cards or choosing like payment plan options in that way that like Amazon has the Affirm. Like you can pay off your $200 cart over the course of like 6 months or whatever. And yeah, so that it seems to be that the economy is just doing really, really, really poorly. And, they say strippers are the first thing to look at. Like the strippers, whether they're doing well is the biggest indicator of whether we're in an economic recession or not. And I think that streamers are another one of those industries that it's like, oh yeah, you can tell if you're a streamer when people are choosing to, because it's entertainment money, and like obviously people, like I think that sex appeal, like sex, the market for it is in higher demand. So I, obviously as a form of entertainment, I think if streamers are suffering, that might be an indication that there's something wrong with the economy. But if strippers are suffering, there's definitely, you know what I mean? There's like a difference in the scale here, but still fundamentally, yeah, I do think, I'm curious if you could make the same type of joke for streamers. The deals were horrible on Black Friday. Did anybody else see all those TikToks of the Target black market deals just being the same as the previous price? I did see one of those. They went around the Target and they slid, there's a new Black Friday logo, right, on all the price tags and stuff. These ones that are like the cardboard things that slide into the metal frame. And they were like sliding it out slightly so that you could see the tag that was behind it, which is not a Black Friday tag, but has the same price on it. So it's like their usual price is the one that is actually, like they're, it's the same thing as any other time something goes on sale, okay? Wow, there's suddenly 50 people in here. Hello, hit the like button, please. Gorge. It's the same as any other sale, though, in my opinion. They're already charging so much more than what the thing is worth, and then, like, they're putting it on sale. And I honestly think at certain stores like Michael's, for example, like I've gone to Michael's and, they have their little seasonal whatever, they've got their seasonal section of the store, and they'll bring in, for example, Halloween decorations, brand new Halloween decorations, and they'll all be marked like 30% off. And it's like 30% off of what? You don't sell this stuff any other time of the year. Like 30% off what? And again, like, yeah, it's for stuff that's it's like plastic, cheap crap that's way overcharged for, and they're making a crazy profit anyway. So then when it's 30% off, they're still making a a pretty massive profit, and they get to trick you into thinking that you're saving money, but you're still buying junk. Like I have a 3D, my husband is into 3D printing and I have access to a 3D printer. So you know what? If I want plastic junk to go everywhere in my house and like take up space, I'll just 3D print some stuff. I can 3D print my own Halloween decorations. It's not necessary for me to buy overpriced crap. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I mean. Yes, it only makes sense to do a sale on Halloween stuff when it's not Halloween season. Like, if it's the end of Halloween season and you're trying to get rid of a bunch of stuff, okay, put it on sale. Like, advertise it as on sale. Like, why are you... It's just a trick. They're just tricking people. And Jamie says about Amazon sales as well. Like, that Amazon sales, it's the same deal as the Target thing. If you knew the price before it went on sale, then it usually is the same. Or Jamie also claims sometimes it's actually a lower price before it goes on sale. I'm estranged from enough relatives that I haven't even bought any presents yet. I only need to buy 3, and I'm going to Dollar Tree for those. I covered stocking stuffers, basically. This is if you donate to me this month, this is what I'm buying is like some stocking stuffers. Not really going all out on presents, but I would let you know, I like being able to buy presents, and so I have done a little bit of that. I'm hand making a gift. One of my gifts is going to be handmade. And then, I mean, the thing that I would like to get myself for Christmas is more of my own sample merch, like my merchandise from my store. You know, I have the beanie. It's an old design, not the current design. And then I also have, like, I would love to get a cup and, I don't know, maybe the hoodie. I guess the hoodie would be nice to have. I spoiled the children in my family. I broke, right? Yeah, completely understand. Oh, Mama, you said earlier, and I read it and then I got sidetracked immediately, but did you say you were gonna do bottom surgery and now you can't this year? I'm really sorry to hear that you can't this year. I completely understand not being able to afford things. Like, boy. And like, I don't even know what my taxes situation is gonna look like next year. I'm not done paying off taxes from last year. I mean, I'm done. I paid off the taxes, but I have, like, it's on a credit card. So, gotta finish paying off that credit card. I guess then that's an extension of my prawn career. Do you think the prawn career is going to end afterwards? I don't know. I know, like, I understand that for T-girls, there's a market for the pee-pee. You know, like, I get it. I understand. I don't know that it's realistic to think that you don't have a career in sex work anymore if you get bottom surgery. Like, I follow at least one sex worker who's a trans girl who got a pussy installed. I mean, she does really niche fetish content anyway. Like, we've talked about her before, actually. Them, maybe. I don't know the pronouns. TBH. Gender fluid person who has a pussy now and does, like, pretty niche fetish content. Still has a career in sex work. So, still a market for after surgery. Lots of people pay to see if they can tell. True. Did stream bork? I hope not. It seems like it's fine to me. Yes, we're doing blankie day. I don't feel good, so we're doing blankie. Unless I achieve some crazy level of hotness, it'll be a massive blow. Or yeah, finding a really specific niche. Maybe. No, it was a Wi-Fi. I'm glad that it was your Wi-Fi technology, your Wi-Fi connection, and not me and my stream. Okay. Yo, 50 people in here. 36 likes. Could we maybe get a couple more likes? So we are going to be talking about the drama in a little bit. So yeah, sorry. If you're new here, hi, I'm Luxander. We always kind of chill for a little while at the beginning of my stream. So we will be talking about the drama, just like not immediately. I need to feel like a normal person for a few minutes. And we'll just kind of talk about little political things here and there, a little bit of climate change, a little bit of how to prepare for the future, water shortages, you know. These are the little like topics that we kind of flow in and out of when we're sort of in between the major topics of the stream, right? So we'll get into the major topics of the stream in a little bit. Plasma center Wi-Fi sucks. We've talked about this recently. Y'all who do plasma donations are so strong. I literally physically think that it would hurt me to do it. Like, I don't think I can because I have a problem with my fluid retention and low blood volume, I think. Anyway, what's up? I'm just going to try and lean into the T-Girl Riz until I get the vagina installed. Fair enough. Just keep leaning into it for the time being. I mean, it does hurt like any needle injection. Yeah, no, but I mean, like, it would harm me. And like, so my heart problem. Hi, I have POTS. COVID will give you POTS, which is, so let me tell you why you want to wear a mask. My heart rate is inappropriately high, and I probably have problems with low blood volume as well. Like, I need a lot of salt in my diet to prevent me from having like painful heart palpitations. And I have, maybe it might also be angina caused by like lack of proper oxygenation to my heart. Like, it's unclear how many of the different mechanisms of POTS that I have, but like, so low blood volume can be like, I don't want to donate my blood and or like donate plasma, and then I know that they fill you up with like a similar amount of saline after. Like, here's how it works if you donate plasma. If you're not poor and you don't know this, when you donate plasma, they kind of like they're taking your blood out, and your blood goes through like a centrifuge kind of thing, like a filter basically, and it filters out your red blood cells, and they keep those. Or no, they don't keep those. Sorry. Wrong way. Other way around. They give you back your red blood cells, and like they filter out the blood plasma, which is like the goop that your red blood cells are suspended in, you know? Like when the blood dries, like, and you can see there's like the red, that's like the blood cells, right? But there's like a liquid that has evaporated, that's the plasma. So they take the plasma, and then they, at the end of the infusion process, they give you saline to give you fluids back into your veins, right? Which is cold. Have you ever thought about what it would feel like for room temperature saline? Someone in chat, let me know when the blood talk is done. Sorry, Forrest. So the saline goes in, and it's cold and it's room temperature. And I don't know if it's exactly the same volume of plasma, but yeah, it's like not a very pleasant experience, and they don't give you very much money. I mean, it's been a long ass time since I went, and I didn't weigh very much back then, so I was only getting like, if I went twice in 1 week, I would get $35, and you have to sit there for like an hour or an hour and a half. Yesterday, my donation took forever because there was a big clot stuck in the tube. IDK if that was caused by the machine, or if I just had that thing running around inside me, ready to kill me. Horrendous. Ursa says, I'm used to it and I get $100 per week. You get $100 per week? That's a lot. That's so much money. It's like, have they just had to increase it because it's not worth it for $35? Like, your body still has to make that into plasma, and it isn't going to be able to do that for about 3 days. So that initial hydration only refills your volume for a few hours before you're dealing with slightly lower than normal blood volume for around 48 hours. Okay, I didn't know all that additionally. That's no wonder it made me feel like shit all the time. I didn't used to have, like I did used to have heart problems. I just didn't know what exactly my issue was. Ursa says 45 for the first donation, 65 for the second. Oh, 60 for the second. Okay. In order to reconstitute that plasma, you would also need to eat an extra 500 calories. Damn. That's fucking crazy. I get 140, 70 per donation, and you can donate twice a week. This is a decrease from what it was last year. They actually paid more last year. Of course, it's going to depend on where you go. It's going to depend. What's up, Violet? Welcome back in. New weight loss method just dropped is what you're saying. Listen, I mean, technically, it would have that effect on you. If you were to donate plasma, it would put you at a calorie deficit in the same way that exercising and burning the calories that way, you know, it's the same basic thing. It's just like, okay, well, your body has to put like a lot more energy into making plasma. Or like when you're working out, like your body has to put a lot more energy into rebuilding your muscles, you know? So yeah, it's like pretty tiring. My partner and I would always get into a fight. We would go donate plasma together, and then we would often get into arguments together afterward. It's like, I just felt like shit all the time. Donating blood once a year is super good for your heart and bone marrow. Really? Like, you're telling me that being bloodlet approximately once a year is good for my heart? On the plus side, when you go to the plasma center, they filter the blood and it takes out cholesterol that's in there. Interesting. Bloodletting actually... Really? Does it hurt to donate blood? I mean... Like, oh, you mean in the same... I mean, you're reducing my blood volume again. Like... But it doesn't, like, hurt more than any other time you have to take blood. Like... It hurts to get stuck, sure. If you're, like, the thing that bothers me is something about the injecting into a vein feels very invasive versus, like, getting a flu or COVID shot in your arm is a little bit more like, okay, whatever, like, it's intramuscular. It doesn't really feel as invasive to me. But, yeah. So, like, donating blood or plasma, like, I find it uncomfortable, but aside from the initial jab, it's not that painful. And then when you get the saline infusion when you donate plasma, that's really uncomfortable. Like, having room temperature saline enter your body just really doesn't feel very good. I can't believe there are 57 people here right now. What are you doing? Hi. Yes, we're going to talk about the drama shortly. Thank you for joining us. Goodness gracious. Y'all are keen. You're fiending for the drama. Welcome to the website, Lexi. Hello, welcome. IDK, if you could pay me to donate plasma. I'm sorry, I can't. IDK, if being on HRT would put me at risk of anything, but still. Yeah, I don't think that there's really any compounding risk with HRT, but I do. Yeah, I don't need to donate. Thank you. Ooh, just found the channel. Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. I learned since I've started uploading daily that uploading daily is in fact the secret to being successful on this platform. So I upload like at least 2 videos a day. I didn't upload any videos on Monday because late Sunday night I saw that there was a call for a strike in support of Palestine. So I just was like, okay, it's the very least I can do is just not post on my channel on Monday. So I participated in that. But otherwise, uploading a video every day, uploading shorts. Yeah, it's a lot of videos. And I would not be able to do it if it weren't for text-based editing. Shorts. So shorts, yeah, I've been putting out a lot more of those. They are not good for getting new subscribers necessarily. Maybe it's just me and what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing with my shorts. If you haven't seen this on my channel, I have been making like shorts that are pretty controversial. And the way that shorts work is I don't notify my subscribers that I have that upload done. And so what YouTube does instead is it does tend to promote those shorts more. Apparently, that's the trick that I was told. So my shorts sometimes get like 6,000 views because it's titled something like God versus Gender. And so I'm getting a lot of hate comments lately. So like shorts for me, they're getting a huge amount of reach, but I'm having way more like conversion as far as new subscribers from just posting regular videos. You know, yes, hate comments are still comments. I've been responding to a lot of them. What's up, Kenzie? Welcome in. In the UK, it's illegal to get paid for giving it. So to be clear, in the United States, when you donate plasma, you're technically, I think you're being paid for your time, or like technically it's not the same as being paid for your blood. When you donate blood, you still just donate blood. When you donate plasma, you get paid, like, I guess, like, for some places it's for your time, and some places it's based on the volume of whatever you give. Like, at the place where we were going, you know, my husband is bigger than me. He weighs more than me, so he got paid more than me. Hey, Kelsey, thank you so much for 20 Canadian Lux Gang for life. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Yeah, I just recently turned on super chats on the on YouTube. They do take a portion of your money. Google takes a portion of your money. So direct donations to the website are just a little bit more reliable, but I still really appreciate them. Thank you so much. All eyeballs are new eyeballs, and they are good eyeballs. Shorts of yours have been popping up for me. I was arguing with your hate commenters. Yeah, it's been fun. I've heard you guys get paid for surrogacy, though, which I think is good TBH. Yeah, so that's actually a question that I have really quick. Are shorts, sorry, not shorts, are surrogates in the UK, are they, like, recruited through the NHS somehow? Because I guess most of our surrogacy is privatized. You know what I mean? Underpaid for surrogacy IMO. There is some huge surrogacy drama going on Twitter right now. Am I wrong? There's 71 people in here. Holy cow. Can we get to like 69 likes today? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mama. Exactly. The same amount of, yeah, like homophobes seem unhappy about it. Yeah, I think I'm done talking about blood. Sorry. Yes, sorry. I'll stop talking about plasma donation. What's up, Christy? So yeah, why is there so, like, homophobes? I think that they're just calling it human trafficking, right? Like child trafficking. They're referring to surrogacy as a type of trafficking. Yes, the vulvoplasty really work. Lost my dicks. So sad. All the white names in chat today. We salute you. No dicks. So sorry. Okay, so it was Matt Walsh who kicked this off. He made a video saying that gay couples doing surrogacy is unnatural and should be illegal. Got it. We drink a little bit of water, babes. Water is so important, okay? Especially if you're going to be talking about drama and how certain members of the Breadtube community are perhaps a little bit abusive, maybe. We'll get to it in a minute, okay? Matt Smolsch, indeed. If right-wingers didn't have the naturalistic fallacy, they'd have nothing to say at all. Okay, so this is actually a question I have a little bit. Hit the like button, hey. But so if... So, okay, I've been thinking about this, like, argument with vegans, you know, and I don't want to lose a bunch of people. I'm not going to go too far in depth on this. Like, when vegans be mad at you, you know? Like, it is, like, natural to eat meat. But like, is that an appeal to naturalism? Like, I guess the better way to phrase it would be, you know, humans get the array of nutrients we need from a variety of sources, and one of the easiest sources for many people to access and digest is meat, you know? Like, is that the same as doing a naturalistic fallacy? I'm not making a... well, yeah, so it's like, I guess, am I making a moral claim? I guess I'm, like, in my opinion, the idea that you're eating meat is amoral because it doesn't... because it's like, it's just normal. Okay, because it's natural is not an argument, but breaking down the mechanics of why is not a naturalistic fallacy. Okay. Yeah, from my experience, most veganism is rooted in reduction of harm in the meat industry. Okay, yeah, so there... okay, there should be no conflict between me and a vegan who cares about ending factory farming, because I also want to end factory farming. I just want to, like, raise my own animals, or have someone down the road who is raising animals, like, trade or sell me meat. Like, I would much prefer that. I think it would be a naturalistic fallacy if you said it is natural to eat meat, therefore humans necessarily do or must. A naturalistic fallacy would be saying it's morally good because it's natural. Okay, yeah, I'm not trying to say it's morally good. Okay, let's get off the veganism. I'm sorry, I know people hate that shit. I lost a bunch of people just now. Sorry. I'll move past it. Would like to see a bigger movement for animal product reduction. Imagine what would happen if everybody ate like 10% less meat. It's less expensive, okay? I want to get off of the whole veganism bullshit, but I will say, let's talk about food and like that whole fucking the economy bullshit again, because it's crazy how much cheaper the plant alternatives are. You know, which, you know, again, that runs into the other interesting issue where, you know, lots of people have digestive problems with foods that have, like, the ability to ferment in your lower intestine, you know, like garlic, onions, soy, beans, like a lot of those things that are supposed to be really healthy for you, and these things that are supposed to be really good meat alternatives, they do tend to be very hard to digest for people who have like any amount of digestive issues. And like getting meat is still for a lot of people the most reliable way to obtain like the correct amount of amino acid that we need, the amount of protein that we need. For like $5 in Canada, you can get 32 eggs. So $5 Canadian is about $4.26 US this week, or as of last week, I guess, when I got a $5 Canadian donation. So 32 eggs for $4. I recently bought 18 eggs for $3. So eggs are also like pretty expensive in the United States. And yeah, but like go buy tofu. I buy like a container of tofu, and it's like $1.50 or something like that, you know? And then you go buy red meat. Like if you're getting ground beef, you might get $5 or a little bit less than $5 per pound. And then like beef is like one of the most readily accessible meats. And I'm starting to shop around. I'm starting to price compare a little bit. I'm like, literally, how much does turkey cost? How much does like pork sausage cost compared to the price of these more expensive meats? TVP is dirt cheap. What is TVP? Which Breadtuber is being abusive? Be patient, my little beans. It'll be fine. In 10 or 15 minutes, we'll switch into talking about the serious topics. We always kind of just meander for the first hour of my show. So if you don't want to hang out for that, come back at like 5 p.m. Okay? Hello, Crowboy. Welcome. The meat industry is more subsidized than the vegetable industry. Therefore, it is cheaper / easier for humans to eat more meat these days than they would historically. But that's not even the case. It's like literally pound for pound, I can do way more tofu than beef. And beef is supposed to be super fucking subsidized. It almost seems like they're being subsidized heavily, and they're still jacking up their prices. It seems like they're pocketing our money and the government's money, because beef is fucking expensive. Other stuff like, okay, lamb, obviously going to be more expensive than beef, because, you know, it's like not very common here. If you live in the UK, you can get a hold of lamb like way more easily, right? Mutton, whatever. Goat. Where the fuck am I going to get goat if I want to eat goat? You know, I have to know somebody who butchers their own goats. You know, like obviously those more niche kind of meats that we don't farm are going to be harder to get a hold of and therefore more expensive. But even as far as the food that we're supposed to be able to afford, I love tempeh, but it's pricey. You can't just buy goat. Yeah, crazy. Yeah. What up? Sick. Hello, welcome. I'm so glad that so many new people are joining. For so many people, this is your first time on the chat. This is your first time joining us for stream. My show is growing, and I appreciate you, and I would love it if you would join the Horde for 2024. See what's going to happen this upcoming election year. Can't do tofu. Forget water riots. There's going to be bread riots with how expensive food is getting. Yeah, I'm literally, like, my 5-year plan right now includes trying to create sustainable food, like, sources in the future. You know, I'm literally like, how am I gonna assure that, like, my family has access to these things? So get used to, in like a couple years, possibly getting way more content that's like, hey, I'm growing food, and like, here's my animals, and you know, here's how we can here's how we can do homesteading shit. What's up, Ash? Welcome in. Hello. We will be talking about the subject at hand in maybe about 10 minutes, okay? We will start talking about the drama here in a little bit. I always do a little bit of a warm-up with my stream where we just kind of talk about whatever at the beginning of the show, okay? TVP is pretty good as a fake meat and dirt cheap, or you can make it from scratch. It's one of the main components in meat alternatives. Okay, so wait, someone said TVP is textured vegetable protein, which is made of fresh isolated gluten. Okay, so that's the other thing. Yeah, like if you have a gluten intolerance, it's going to be much harder to find meat alternatives. Grow amaranth for an easy crop, and kale and taters. Some kind of root veg. How many of you have ever eaten a parsnip? How many of you are American and have never eaten a parsnip? Does homesteading make sense? How much land do you need to grow enough food for one person to eat? I mean, yeah, it's pretty complicated, and I don't know how sustainable it is long term, but it's like the alternative to doing that is accepting that I'm going to starve, you know? Like, I feel the need to attempt to set up, you know, it's going to grow as well. You know, I don't need it to be completely sustainable within the next 5 years. I just need to know that I'm on my way to it being sustainable. Taters are the easiest starch crop to grow, and they're very calorie dense. There's edible mushrooms with a similar taste or texture to various meats. I cooked some meat last night that really did smell like mushrooms. It was crazy. I made some ragu, is what they call it. I used beef, like chuck steaks, cut thin, and it had like eggplant and tomato and green onion and like tomato paste, and a couple of other things. And it really smelled like mushrooms. It was weird. Never eaten a parsnip. Parsnips are a staple of the Sunday roast. Are you UK though? Sick? Are you from the UK? Because I know, like, the reason why I'm even thinking about parsnips is because I've been looking up and receiving recipes from some Britain people, you know, and like, you know, they're eating, yeah, so they're eating parsnips, and they're eating aubergines, and they're eating, like lamb more often, because that's what's available over there. They're not eating as much of like stuff that is very common in the US, per se. Quinoa is great and protein dense, though it does have ethical issues. Yeah, quinoa is bad because of the human element, right? American here, parsnips are tasty. Okay, good to know. Aubergines are just fancy named eggplants. Yes, but I was saying aubergine because I was communicating to a person who's from the UK, and I knew that they would know what I meant. I use parsnips for my roast veggie medley, but I was introduced to it in Europe. As an Australian, I've eaten tons of parsnips in things. Yeah, it's just not the root veg that we go for in the US. But I'm curious, you know, like, that's a question. I'm about to have to do like a Harvest Moon / Stardew Valley level of research. Is anybody else like this? Maybe it's just because of how violently retarded I am. But like when I'm playing Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley, I'm looking up. I'm heavily relying on guides. I'm going, which vegetables grow fastest and are like and cost the most, like which ones are gonna grow on which days. And yeah, I go really hard into it. And of course in Harvest Moon or whatever, your point is to min-max for the amount of money that you're making, unless you need something for a specific like event. You know, you might be growing specific things. There are usually mods for these things. Well, when I played Harvest Moon, we didn't have that. Like, and I don't like playing with mods. I prefer having a second monitor with a Wikipedia up that I have to keep navigating through. Anyway, there are certain food plants which can grow in the same soil without overcompeting. That's also the case. Yeah, so it's, yeah, you have to take into account which things are going to take the most water, you know, which things are going to prefer which kind of soil, which things are going to need which nutrients. Are some plants going to be able to feed each other so that I don't have to rotate crop, or am I going to have to rotate crop? Which things are you going to need to, like, plant early, you know, like all kinds of different shit. It's like, it's an autism dream. Yes, I call myself the slur, by the way. I'm so sorry if you're new here and that upsets you. Sorry. We use slurs sometimes in a self-referential manner. Getting ready for the Google Sheets. If you think you're being funny, but I was, at the time when I was planning this, I was thinking more of like a beautiful flower garden. But I was thinking, and I literally was like about to go into like, when do these plants bloom, so that I could plan like certain parts of my garden blooming in certain sequence. Listen. Carrots are easy to grow. Yes. Squashes, corn, and beans are the big American three. Right. It's called the Three Sisters, was a Native American practice where you would plant corn. And then, so when the corn is rising, the beans are growing and they start, trailing themselves up the corn stalks. And then the squash is supposed to cover the ground with its leaf and like prevent weeds from growing because of how dense they are on the ground. And then basically they all kind of feed the correct, they feed the right nutrients into the ground so that they're feeding each other. Basically, nitrogen is one of the major components to crop growing. Like some plants take a lot of nitrogen out of the soil and other plants put more nitrogen in the soil. There's a couple of other things that matter as well, but nitrogen, as I understand, is kind of the big one. I hate having autism and ADHD because I love to do that, but then at the same time, I know I wouldn't keep it up. I don't actually know what I'm going to do in the hypothetical future where you can't get Ritalin anymore. Because, like, that's how I'm able to function right now. The days that I don't take Ritalin, I can't do fucking anything. I can't do anything. I guess lots of caffeine. Yeah, but where am I going to get caffeine? What am I going to grow? Literal, yeah, literal drugs. Like, I don't, when the other trans people are concerned about, like, access to hormones in the apocalypse, and listen, I feel you. I really do truly, deeply feel you on that. I don't really care about that as much as not being able to, yeah, as I just need Ritalin to function. I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll see. It's so hard to get it in the UK. I don't know if it's just my GP being difficult on purpose. I feel so bad for you guys with that stupid gatekept system over there. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Get a job with the Coca-Cola company. True. True, Jira. Yes, thank you very much for that. Really good point. It's not just about growing food. Foraging also plays an important part in food systems. Yeah, I also intend to grow animals and keep animals for livestock purposes, like both for their meat and for their product. Like, I think that it would be wise to have goats for milk and cheese. Hell yeah, dude. Milk and cheese products? Fuck yeah. Goat cheese is really fatty, isn't it? Fun times that missing out on my HRT and my ADHD meds in that hypothetical future, I wouldn't be able to function at all. Listen, all you have to do is drink horse piss. okay? You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I could also do sheep. I never really thought about sheep's milk before, but I guess that would work. But yes, of course, the wool. You know, I crochet, so I could definitely see that being a good idea. Hold on, I thought I needed to burp, and it's like, is it coming back? Excuse me. Yes, okay. Back to the ancient ways where we have herds of horses for exactly that purpose. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I have like a horse. That would be way later in the process. I cannot imagine trying to have a horse. That would have to be way later if I'm like, okay, maybe society is actually about to collapse and I need a way to get around. Hemp might be more adaptable for fiber. Yes. Ooh, that's a really good point. Oh my God, you guys, hemp. Hemp is such an excellent product to grow in a situation where you don't have like normal industry, you know, because with hemp fiber, you can make rope, like you can make fucking strong rope, and you can make canvas like that. Okay. I don't know if you guys know this. This is a fun fact. I don't normally have this big of an audience. Normally there's not like almost 80 people in here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We're going to start on the drama news in just a second, here in about 5-10 minutes. Oh my God, no. Hemp. Yes. Okay. Hemp was the major cash crop of this country. Like almost, I would say more so than tobacco almost. Like tobacco and hemp both. And you didn't learn that in your middle school or high school US history class, because of course they didn't tell you that hemp was one of the major cash crops. But yeah, like ships were so important to the economy back then. And from hemp, not like marijuana, you know, like there's two different like ways of growing the plant, and one of the ways of growing it just like really emphasizes the like almost woody texture. Highly recommend Poor Proles Almanac podcast for leftist food systems and farming content. Thank you, Foxgloves. I'm gonna open up a tab for that now. But yeah, and you can make clothes out of hemp too. You know, cotton is considered like the thing that you make clothes out of, but you can definitely make clothes out of hemp fiber as well. What period are we talking about here? I was talking about like colonial US history, like cash crop. What, like when you learn in high school that like tobacco was the cash crop that enabled America to have an economy. Hemp was the other major one. Also, a major cotton tycoon was one of the entities that pushed hard for the illegalization of weed. Interesting. There's a book called Manhunt where trans femmes would eat licorice root as a substitute for Spiro. Guys, did you know that star anise tastes or smells like a lot like licorice? It's really weird. I ordered some from Amazon because I want to make Vassal. Oh my goodness. It's really weirdly licoricey. Anyway, thank you guys for the recommendations. Poppy is also a good crop for reasons. No, I don't want to grow anything that's going to make people... I thought that was the point of star anise, but I don't know. I'd never had it before. I don't know what anise tastes like or smells like. I made cookies with anise seed. Is it anise or anise? I don't know. Anyway. Drink water, babes. We're going to roll into the new topic here momentarily. You've been very patient with me. Thank you so much. Haha, Kelsey. Thank you. Oh, that's really cool. Oh, that's neat. Original licorice was made with star anise. If you get real high-quality black licorice, it is star anise. Oh, cool. So I have, like, a lot of it. Like, I have probably way more than I will need for the next 5 Christmases of making Vassal. I could make Vassal, like, so many times this winter if I wanted to. There's star anise and pho. It's really good. Nice. Yeah, so, anyway. Not Breadtuber, but it sucks that the completionist apparently is terrible. Yeah, my partner watches whatever channel it was that recently exposed the completionist as being terrible. You're stockpiling licorice? What do you know that we don't? It's mine. How do you spell that thing you make with anise? Vassal? It's spelled W-A-S-S-A-I-L. Vassal. This might be a dumb question, but can you forage anywhere or do you have to go to a forest? So, foraging laws in the United States are kind of weird. So I think you can basically only forage on public land unless you have permission, but some public land is going to be no foraging allowed. Like, there's, like, some protected areas that you're not allowed to forage, right? Like, at a state park, you might not be allowed to forage because they want to preserve that area and discourage people from messing with the ecosystem, right? So foraging, you know, yeah, if I own a chunk of land with some forest and shit, and, like, I could forage my own land, and I could like take mushroom spores and spread them around to try to cause some kind of natural cultivation to occur. Like, I could absolutely do that, but aside, like, you know, and actually I have gone foraging with my partner before. We go foraging for morels. We don't usually find any. He's got, like, a coworker who brings him morels every year, but so we end up having some usually, but when we go foraging, you know, it's in certain areas, public land, and it's like, it can feel kind of weird sometimes, because also, like, sometimes, you know, obviously you're going to run into other people on public land, and, like, are plants growing there? Then yes, you can forage there. No, that's not how it works, unfortunately. Yeah, you can go on private land with permission. Pickers can get nasty. Yeah, people can get really defensive over their spots even if they are public land. And sometimes people are sleeping there. Like, sometimes people are homeless and they have their tents up, and you're like, oh shit, I feel like I'm in somebody's yard right now. Like, I've got to steer away from this area. It's like, do you know why the laws are so weird? Is it just trying to stop people from getting free things? I mean, yeah, I mean, okay. At its most broad, it's not that restrictive, because broadly speaking, you have, it's okay to hunt on most private, or sorry, to forage on most private land, or sorry, on most public land. Jesus fucking Christ. Generally speaking, you can forage on public land and not on private land. So that, like, makes sense, right? You are not supposed to go on people's property. It's trespassing, you know, if you don't have permission. And then, yeah, like, if you have a protected area, like, this area is being preserved, like, in a couple places in Kansas, there's, like, protected wetlands, for example, you know, where they're trying to preserve a certain ecology, and so they dissuade foraging of any kind. They dissuade taking things at all. They don't want you to, like, they don't want you to pick up a rock and take it with you. They're trying to preserve it in a certain manner. So, you know, I assume that state parks are going to be kind of the same. Jesus Christ, there's so many gnats in here. Sorry for the loud noise. Some plants are quite endangered due to over-foraging, like ginseng and golden seal. Yeah, that's the thing, too. You know, this is one of those questions that I have about how we would do things in, like, in a less structured society. Like, how would we do things in the absence of an overarching state that is controlling all of our actions when it comes to things like ecological preservation? Like, how do you do... Okay, like, do you guys know that it's basically a federal crime for you to pick up most bird feathers you would see outside? If you're in the United States and you go out and you find, like, the crushed eggshell fragments of a robin, and it's this pretty blue color, and you want to take them home, that's a federal crime. It's a federal crime because when we first were establishing America, we would hunt certain birds to extinction practically, or, like, at least one bird. I think it was a type of pigeon or dove or something like that. We hunted to complete extinction because we wanted to make pretty feathered hats. The passenger pigeon, thank you. So, you know, when you have stuff like, okay, well, if we over-forage or overfish this area, like, how do we create protections and enforce those protections and prevent people from going and, like, yeah, like, over foraging something to the point of extinction, or overfishing some fish to the point of extinction? You know, like, these are the kind of questions that I ask myself. And I lose viewers when I ask these questions. Anyway, hello, Jason. Welcome. Anyway. Yeah, Mersh is correct. A lot of people won't allow folks to forage on their private land, even if they ask, because liability is an issue. Like, if someone gets hurt on your land, you can be legally and financially responsible. And if the land is under conservation for tax purposes, you could also run into trouble with taxes. Ooh, I like that you have morels and ginseng on your land. That's cool. That's why hunting and fishing licenses are a thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do you know who Damian Manders is? Damian Manders. Is he a YouTube guy? These are the kind of conversations we have on stream, okay? If someone picked a mushroom from your land and then ate it and died, that would be your fault. Basically, like, or at least it could be, you could potentially be open to liability. What often happens, are you guys familiar with that case where everybody was like, oh, this nephew is suing his aunt, or maybe it was the other way around. Like, this aunt is suing her nephew because he gave her a big hug, knocked her over, and broke her wrist at a birthday party or something like this. And people were like, oh my God, she's such a monster for suing him. It was that her insurance, her health insurance, was requiring her to sue because they wouldn't cover. Like, that was her health insurance, like, not wanting to pay for her broken wrist. So yeah, insurance companies can just, like, make you do shit like that. So, you know, if you have an issue where someone dies on your land, like the person's estate might have to, like, their life insurance policy, for example, might require them to sue you because it's your fault. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's an anti-poaching activist who runs a militant and violent anti-poaching agency in Africa due to overhunting. Oh, cool. That's neat. I may have seen his videos before. I'll have to take a look at him. I have ginseng that I harvested from a place that was going to get bulldozed. I'm surprised how easy it was to grow. Oh, ginseng is easy. Is ginseng, like, healthy for you? I don't really know anything about it. When I see your robe, it makes me think you just left a boxing match. Well, it's a giant blanket. It's just a giant blanket that I'm hiding inside, okay? All right. We should probably start talking about the actual topic here in a sec. Ginseng is a natural energy stimulant. Okay. Yes, it does look very comfy. Can we get some Peppo Comfies in the chat, please? Peppo Comfies in the chat. Anti-inflammation and antioxidant. I have raw ginger root in my cupboard right now, which I don't normally, because I was thinking, ooh, you know what's a really good idea is making, like, a morning ginger shot. Huh? Like some orange juice and some ginger. Wow. That would be yummy. I really should devote more time to learning about this sort of stuff because I'm so convinced that the end is nigh. Lamau, Super Dr. Hulock, according to current projections, 5 billion people on this planet will be facing water shortages by the year 2050. And as with all things climate change related, we know for sure that, like, every time they make an estimation, that thing happens sooner than they say it's going to. So honestly, by the year 2030, there's probably going to be not a statistically insignificant number of people who are facing water shortages. So I don't know if that's going to be an issue in the UK. Obviously, it's pretty moist there. But yeah, prepare. If I made a 128 by 128 PNG for a bugs emoji, would people want it? And would someone else know how to turn it into a proper emoji? You might message EB the Purple in the Discord and see if she has any advice for you, because she makes most of the emojis. Peppo Comfies! Let's go, blankets. Let's go. Cyanide tooth gonna come in clutch. No cyanide tooth. Yeah. Beautiful. I don't know what ginseng tastes like. I assume that it would taste like ginger because it sounds similar, but I bet it's violently different. Do you want to see my kitten? Yes. Put him in the stream chat on Discord so that the stream can all see the kitten. Do it! No Fed posting in my chat. Not permitted. Isn't ginseng in some of the major energy drinks? Yeah, but I don't know what it tastes like. Kitten time, kitten time, kitten time! It's time for kittens! I'm pulling up picture of kitten. Look at his face! Why? Why are you so cute? Why? Why? Look at his belly. I want to put my face in it. Look at those paws. He's gonna get bigger. Oh, what a cutie. Cutie patootie. Lux seems hyper today. Listen, I'm actually in a terrible mood. And I'm just trying to be entertaining in spite of that. Oh, man. Oh, someone else has posted Oh, people are posting pussy pics in the Discord. Look at these adorable little pusses. Wow, I love how cross-eyed your cat is. That is one derpy cat. Wow. I don't know if you can really tell because of how small that picture is. Let me make it bigger. Look at how cross-eyed this cat is. Hold on. No! Oh my god, that's funny. Oh man, she's so cute. This cat is so cute. Oh no. Oh, that's a cute cat. Okay, I gotta get it off my screen. It's a distraction. I don't want to bug my cat. He's in a bad mood today. He's not in a good mood today, so I'm gonna leave him alone. She had an ear issue when she was small and spent a week walking in circles. Oh, poor doofy baby. Poor doofy derpy baby. My cat Lucifer had a really derpy face as well. Like, he was just crazy. How many likes are we at now? 74 according to mine. I posted the bug emoji in the creativity channel. Ooh. Where? Creativity channel. Oh my goodness, you all have been posting in there so much. Okay, this guy's pretty cute. I feel like he's pretty cute. I'm not 100% sure if it's gonna scan when it's, like, tiny. But I think it's cute. I don't really know anything about design or how to make it different or better. Excuse me. If you happen to be born in and die in the same hospital, your whole life was basically walking in a circle. It looks like a poop when it's small. It does look like a little bit of a poop. An isopod? You love those guys. Do you really? Do you? They are really enjoying that piece of carrot that I gave them. Those are my Porcellanitis pruinosis orange cream. Yeah, there's so many guys. Pet the isopod. Yeah, they don't really like to be touched, but still. Okay, I'm gonna drink more water, and then we'll start talking about the real segment. The real segment. And I probably am gonna just look up some shit on Twitter about it. I've been retweeting some stuff. Oh, yummy. Keffels makes a really good point. You can tell the trans people are all pedophile groomers shit is dying out because this is what Michael Knowles is currently doing with his content instead. Destiny's open marriage is failing. Michael Knowles making content about Destiny. Amazing. L segment. You don't want the segment? Too bad. What's up, Avi? Welcome in. Okay, so I was about to do... I'm looking for links. We're looking for links. The real breadtube drama was the friends we made along the way. Okay. We're gonna do it now. We're gonna do it. I don't actually know if this is gonna go up on the channel later. I haven't decided. still cringe when I think about the fact that I liked Destiny once upon a time. You're not allowed to change and grow. Once a Destiny fan, you're always a Destiny fan. That's a joke. I don't believe that. People have been getting so tripped up on my jokes lately that I am, I guess, like, I don't know. I'm getting a little defensive. I'm like, I wish I could make jokes and not have people write me a thesis in response trying to interrogate my beliefs. And it's like, it's a fucking joke. Oh my god. Dragons aren't known for their jokings. I know, I'm too serious. Gotta use the tone indicators. I'm autistic. I'm trying my best. Get canceled like Natalie Wynn for making jokes. True. It's never a good thing when we have to talk about someone within this, leftist creator space being abusive, potentially. When we have to discuss allegations, it's never really a fun time, I don't think. I don't think it's ever really a fun moment. So, especially, it's tricky talking about trans perpetrators, basically. We really don't want to feed into the idea of any particular group of people being, inherently predatory or anything like this. It can be tricky to talk about these things in a way that honors the victims and doesn't get into this whole, vilification of trans women kind of crap. Like, it's hard. Sorry, I was reading and trying to catch up with chat a little bit there. I will say, though, I guess before I go too far into this, that I just find it interesting how many times recently my personal dislike of someone has turned out to be vindicated by them being creepy or abusive to other people. It's like, aha. The vibes were off. At work, there was one site that had to put up their hand and say joke so that people would not get offended. Yeah, it's like I have to start using tone indicators when I'm talking. Like /HJ, guys. Every time I see /HJ, I think it means /handjob, and I'm like, no, I'm sure that it doesn't mean that, but it means half joking, and my brain never brings me that first. I'm personally going to have to eat crow on this one. I defended her in this chat. Listen, I understand the impulse to defend trans women who are, people dislike them or people are hypercritical of them. The particular reason why I didn't like Sophie was because of her participation in the villainization of Xander Hall with regards to this whole, 2 or 3 years ago, this, whole sex harem thing. I think everybody who was trying to make him seem like a sex pest at that time was a pretty awful person. But, so that was my dislike of her. And other folks, thought that what she was doing either wasn't that bad or she apologized. And yeah, it's Sophie from Mars. Yes, I'm sorry for beating around the bush for so long, but yeah, it's Sophie from Mars. So this group of people who attacked Xander Hall, there's I don't really like Kira chats. I don't really like Sophie from Mars. I don't really like Thought Slime. Yeah, I was upset about those things at the time, and so I was it was easy for me to just not talk about her or watch her content or anything. And then, yeah, it turns out that allegedly she has been abusive toward other trans women. And so I'm not gonna I guess I'm not gonna skip around the bush anymore. Let's go ahead and look at this. Yeah, I know. You all are gonna be upset that it's Sophie, and we will discuss how, whether it seems unlikely or out of character for her. We'll discuss all that after we read this. So Sophie from Mars is a danger to other trans women. This was posted by Alice Avizandum. We are a group of trans women who have been harmed by Sophie. Some of us have dated and been in relationships with her. Many others have hooked up with her. She has been abusive, controlling, indifferent to our consent or its absence, and catastrophically selfish. Some of us have been permanently physically scarred. Some of us have had drugs pressured on us. All of us have been left seriously hurt, both emotionally and physically. I got really quiet for some reason. Well, I didn't. Maybe I just stopped yelling? Stopped yelling! I don't know. My technology seems to want to hate me right now. We believe this represents a pattern of calculated intentional abuse by Sophie, and that there may be many more people she has harmed. So I guess this is, they're basically saying this is such a wildly established pattern that we don't think that it could be by accident at this point. Like, I personally believe that most people who are abusive don't even know, like, that what they're doing is abusive. Like, I think folks think, I'm just being honest, and they don't, have the, like, skills and knowledge to be able to introspect and go, like, oh, no, this behavior is, inappropriately manipulative, or it's, controlling, or various things like that. Like, I genuinely don't know if folks are aware most of the time. I think most abusers are just, like, failing into it and not necessarily, like, trying to be actively harmful to someone. Obviously, that doesn't negate the effects that they have on people. But for the overwhelming most part, in my opinion, I think that, like, even victims can engage in abusive behavior. Like, unintentionally abusive, which I feel like maybe some folks are gonna take issue with that. And because it's, like, so easy to villainize people and to go, oh, because you were driving an unhealthy dynamic in our relationship, that means that you're inherently a bad person. And it's like, I think that everybody is in a process, and, like, I just don't think it makes sense to essentialize people down that way, I guess. And, so it's a nuanced and complicated issue. And, like, always you want to listen to victims and prioritize their feelings and all this. But I just do think, we have a tendency to go hard after people in a way that's not necessary, right? So if you are looking at a pattern of behavior and it gets to a point where you're like, no, I think that this is actually maliciously intentional at this point, I really think that I would trust the people in that situation to be able to differentiate, like, this has been happening to so many people for such a long period. And the behaviors in this instance with Sophie, the behaviors are so obviously uncool that it's like, there's no way you could have not known what you were doing, Like, I don't really think in this instance that there's any question. Being an abuser is also a cycle in families, so I think it's learned, and in the process, you don't learn things everyone else does, like empathy. Yeah, I mean, I do think that that is part of it as well. Like, you're learning, like, our society is kind of fundamentally abusive. Like, it uses the fear of death to incentivize you to do most of the things that you do. Like, you do the money making, and you find a roommate, and you get a partner, and, like, underneath all of those actions is, like, economic anxiety. And I think that, and, like, also the fact that religion is so dominant, like Christianity in particular is so dominant in the United States, and that kind of inherently is a power dynamic that tends to replicate, like, if God were a person, we would be like, yeah, dude, he's an abusive, you should leave him. Like, that's not a good person for you to have around. But, like, so yeah, I think that we do internalize and learn a lot of abusive behaviors and, like, are not aware. But those behaviors tend to be things that don't cause physical harm. The kind of things that we can go, oh yeah, I didn't even realize that, this particular way of phrasing this was manipulative. I wasn't trying to be manipulative. I was just trying to be honest. It's much easier to avoid thinking of yourself as doing harm if it's those kind of behaviors. But we'll see. I don't think this has been limited to just that. In social psychology, we learned about two types of aggression: proactive aggression as a means to an end, and reactive, which is aggression based on emotion where the harm is the point. Reactive aggression can be calculated and cool, but it is still an emotional thing. That's quite interesting. Haven't looked into it. I used to say, I'm sorry if you felt like I hurt your feelings, but then I learned that that's not a good way to phrase an apology. Yeah, like people don't even realize that like small insidious ways in which we are like avoiding, like we're all avoiding accountability because it's uncomfortable to face the fact that you've done something wrong or hurt someone. And we will see that kind of behavior from all sorts of folks, the doubling down or the trying to dodge accountability thing or the trying to rebrand themselves thing. It's uncomfortable. So this letter continues, we are publicizing this because the Whisper Network was not enough to protect us. If Sophie had had a reputation for being unsafe, we either did not hear about it or we gave her the benefit of the doubt. We believe that for the safety of the community, she must be linked to concrete, tangible harms. Okay, so like basically in many instances like this, there's a Whisper Network, which refers to, you know, people just looking out for each other. This used to be a thing in the atheist community as well before this like big feminist explosion happened, where folks would just say, hey, I would really recommend not finding yourself alone in an elevator with this person, like, you know, various prominent men in that particular movement. And so this is a similar thing where if there was a Whisper Network of people who had been harmed by Sophie and like relying on that interpersonal, hey, nudge, that might not be a good idea for you to do, that was not sufficient for these people. And so they ended up in relationships with her, or even if they knew about like sketchy stuff she had done in the past, she like still managed to, they still tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. Are you wearing Peppo Comfy on the outside or Smuggy on the inside? No, I'm not naked underneath. I'm wearing a tank top. Okay, I'll touch back on that comment in a second, Quantum Cactus. So they continue. So this is basically, this letter is signed by 5 women who are all signing on to it. And they continue, as trans women, we neither trust nor want the authorities to be involved in this case. An institutionally transphobic system of criminal justice has no business here. We would not wish it on our worst enemy, and it would make all of us less safe. We ask that everyone respect our wishes on this. I mean, that completely makes sense. If they were to try to do an investigation, it would require all of them to have much more close contact with the government that hates them actively. Like, I'm assuming that all of these women are in the UK, because that's, like, Sophie has the Britain accent. She's done various events in the UK where she has spoken at protests and things. Like, I assume that all of these women are in the UK. And so I would not put any hope in the idea that the police would really help them at all. Alice is definitely in the UK. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm itchy. So they continue, whatever follows this and however Sophie chooses to respond, any process of accountability and who participates in it is an individual decision rather than a collective one. The other one thing we can confidently say we all share in feeling is that Sophie's actions must be known about so they can never happen again. I really admire when people go public about stuff like this, because they're like, you know, risking their reputation. And a large creator like Sophie has the power to try to discredit them. I really doubt that that's going to happen, because I think that everybody is pretty readily willing to believe that Sophie has done these things. Sophie from Mars, you guys, if you're just coming in, she's a YouTuber, and if you don't know who she is, then that's fine. It's not a big deal. Yes. Sophie was very recently accused by a TERF of saying that she was going to wipe her hands on her dick when she actually said on her jeans. Like, her peen versus jeans. I have seen Sophie's tweet. Yes, I've seen it. We'll get around to it. But I want to continue reading this thread because this goes beyond just that statement and gets a little bit more detailed. So difficult to articulate what I want to say personally here. This is maybe a strange thing to say about a woman whose cigarette burns you are still healing from, but I can't make myself hate Sophie. I don't want to destroy her or her career, but there has to be a warning. After the day she gave me those burns, I spoke to her about it privately, and she was very contrite and insisted that it was just me and a one-time thing, and I felt a bit managed. And the second I pulled on that thread, I found how many times this pattern had worked itself out. So I guess she started talking to other people who knew Sophie and found out that this type of behavior has happened. And like, so I want to also say, some folks are saying, Alice is into BDSM stuff. So it could have been that the cigarette burn was like in a context that might have been consensual. Alice is not making it sound that way. She says, oh, she was very contrite and insisted it was just me and a one-time thing, which makes it sound like it was more the result of like an outburst or something. Like, I'm not entirely sure, and I don't want to speculate too much, but it's just like a weird way to phrase that. So clearly, whatever was happening in the moment, Alice does not feel overall that it was a consensual BDSM thing. And like, burning someone with a cigarette is pretty fucked up because cigarettes are like designed to not go out. So, man, like, that seems like it would be quite shite to experience. So Alice continues, it's been one of those situations where the more I think about it, the more I remember and the worse I feel, even about things that in the moment I enjoyed or thought I did. And I think that's a common experience with her. That's one of the hardest things about dealing with abusive situations, is that they're never 100% abusive. Like, they're never 100% like, oh, you're the worst and I hate you and I'm going to abuse you and treat you like garbage. Like, a lot of abusers will do things like compliment you in front of other people, like after you have a big fight, or they will like, act really sweet when someone calls them on the phone, while they're in the middle of like being super shit to you, like they have control over their actions. Let's see, hold on. I don't know who this is, but I support the slogan, believe survivors, when interpreted as take what survivors say seriously, but not uncritically. Right. Like especially again, in this instance where we're talking about a trans woman, it is generally like you want to make sure that if she really did it, then we're holding her accountable, or whatever that means, or like she is taking accountability, whatever that means. That's a whole conversation that we can have about the subject. Like, what does accountability mean in this context? But like you don't want to just like villainize someone. There's like this impulse to assume the best, especially because Sophie is one of those people who I think really tried to market herself as this sort of like cute uwu thing, like with the pink hair and sort of the pink backgrounds on the videos, as she has come out and started hormonal transition and getting FFS and stuff like this. Like, I do think that she does, like many of these other woke scold types who engage in abusive behavior online. And like, I would say that Sophie's behavior online, even outside the context of being abusive to her partners, is like, yeah, like I definitely think that her behavior has been that of like somebody who is a crybaby who wants to make themselves seem like, oh, I'm so soft and sweet and you can't criticize me. And like when you criticize her, she goes nuclear and like uses her alternate account to say that she's gonna kill herself. Like, she is one of those people fully who goes that hard. Yeah, cycle of abuse, gift giving, the apologies, the moments of calm before the storm, but it's still all a part of a cycle. Yeah, like these folks, like when someone has you caught in an abusive dynamic, they like the reason why they're not negative all the time is because if they were negative all the time, you would leave, and that's not what they want. Like, they want you to be like continually coming to them for like validation and support. This is the whole concept of negging, right? The whole concept of, oh, I'm gonna give you this like, it's kind of a compliment, but really it's not. And I'm gonna make you feel like, oh, you need to be better in order to maintain my attention. It's just not not good behavior. In particular, a masochist in the middle of a scene is going to be so floaty that they might agree to things in the moment that they would not consent to when fully in their own mind. It's the same as someone being too drunk to consent no matter what they say. Yeah, and this letter also alleges that there were drugs involved. So it could be that she was not only using subspace, but using drugs to make people more compliant for her. Yeah, the love bombing, right. So continuing, what I want out of this is practically almost nothing. You don't even have to stop watching her content if she chooses to keep making it. I just want her to not be able to convince anyone else that it's their unique, extreme nature that makes her want to act like this, because it isn't. Oh man, that's the worst. Like, this is someone who is textbook using the context of BDSM to be abusive. Someone being like, oh, but it's just, you got me so excited because, you are so into this BDSM stuff. It's so, like, you're so extreme that it made me feel like I needed to be extreme or whatever. Like, using that as an excuse to go outside the boundaries of the scene. Like, oh my God, that's a whole conversation to be had as well about the way that partners can use BDSM to just, like, get away with doing something messed up to you and gaslighting you basically about whether or not you consented in the moment. Like, that's crazy. Another thing I don't want or need is an apology. I'm not going to get into the whole, is this apology good enough? Because it doesn't matter to me. I don't care about her intentions or her accountability or her process. All I want is for it to stop happening. Completely respect that. If she wants to go and get therapy or something, good for her. But, and this is the first comparison that comes to mind, and it's so untactful as to be really funny, it's like quitting smoking. You get whatever help you need, but the only real test is whether you stop doing it. So, yeah, I really respect the, like, chutzpah that it takes to, be willing to go, like, stick your neck out there like this. Abigail Thorne responded saying, "You've been very brave, and I'm proud to be your friend." Which kind of tells me that she may have known about it beforehand, like may have known about this situation before these girls decided to go public with it. But we'll see. As someone who's not into the BDSM stuff, it seems like it would be a tricky thing to navigate. Like, wouldn't you have to sit down and be like, yeah, I like this, don't like this, etc. Yeah, like if you're doing BDSM in like a healthy way, then it 100% involves what I was at a talk where this person referred to it as pants-on conversations. So, like, whether you're going to be using a condom or not is a pants-on conversation. Like, anything about your scene, it's a lot of communication, like there's a reason why there's like a barrier to entry for like whether people are going to be willing to play with you, because you can't just do it casually. Like, you have to, like, the consent that's required in those situations is beyond what is normal in a relationship, Like, I feel in vanilla relationships, you might be able to be more casual about, like, just being more spontaneous and in the moment, changing things up or whatever. But in BDSM, like, you have to make a plan and stick to it for the most part. Or you might have a plan with, like, maybe there's options where it's like, okay, after we do this, I would be comfortable with you doing either this or this. But it's still within these parameters. As someone in the BDSM scene, that is a constant fear of mine when I'm doming. Trying to give someone a good time is tough when I'm worried that I'm going to hurt them. Yeah. And, like, the sub has all the power in the scene, basically, because, if you go beyond what they want you to do, then it's like a crime. So, like, you do have to be communicating throughout the process. Excuse me. Excuse me. So, I didn't even catch that before, like using BDSM to justify her abuse aspect of it. Wowee. Burp stream, shush. Using it being BDSM as an excuse is absolute bullshit. but it is a context that changes how people react to things. Yeah, like the cigarette burn stuff isn't intrinsically abusive if BDSM is a factor, but doing it without consent is even more of a violation. Of course, of course. So yeah, it clearly, in her recollection, in Alice's recollection, she does not feel like that was consensual behavior. I've had subs be mad at me after, even when the scene stayed in bounds, so I just stopped doing it. Fair enough. It's also an easy... Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the abuse factor. It's easy to get people who don't understand BDSM to dismiss it because, oh, people who are into that can't complain. Yeah, like, it's literally the you're asking for it. Like, but I literally wasn't. Like, I literally didn't. So, yeah, that's like a whole aspect to this. There's more than just this thread as far as info about this. Like, I've been, you know, seeing stuff pop up all day and, like, retweeting stuff sometimes. Let's see. She did respond. I have her muted, so it's hard for me to find her tweets sometimes. Okay. So she posted a tweet saying, taking responsibility, and just posted this twit longer thing, basically. I've recently been made aware of some serious harm for which I am responsible. I have had my behavior described to me, and I'm horrified, and having heard the descriptions of my behavior, I entirely agree with what people have said. Only I can know my intentions, everyone else can only judge my actions. Therefore, I'm going to do the only thing I can, and focus entirely on changing in ways that make sure I never hurt anyone again. The kindness of people that you have hurt is an impossibly precious thing, and I don't intend to squander it. What the fuck does that mean? Is she saying that, like, it was kind of them to explain how horrible what I did was? Because, like, listen, there's no need for them to tell her before they posted that letter, right? But there's sort of an implication there, I guess, that she's saying, like, they were kind enough to describe to me my behavior so that I could reconcile with it, I guess, is like what she's trying to spin it as. She says, I'm staying away from everyone who I've hurt and will wait for anyone who wants to contact me for anything to reach out. I am committed to engaging in any process of accountability that is wanted of me. She does... Yeah, do we think that her saying... Maybe it's kind because they didn't go to police. Fucking true. That might be... Yeah, so is her saying my behavior, is that like she's distancing herself from her actions? This is very clinical as a response. Like, I think that this is textbook. I've watched a lot of people make apologies like this, and I have criticized people for not making good enough apologies, and so this is a calculated... everything that's the correct thing to say when you're doing an apology for being, like, literally physically abusive. Sure, it's also kind of them to say not to cancel her. Yeah, Alice was like, yeah, I don't care if you stop watching her videos or not. I think it's weird to not describe what you're apologizing for in the apology. It's sort of the Josh Brolin way of doing things, where he was like, it's not my story to tell, it's her story to tell. So that's how he dodges questions about the, like, domestic, like, him hitting his wife, allegedly, thing. It does have PR vibes. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's a perfectly curated PR response in this situation. 6 says, the process of accountability that is wanted of me translated to, I'm only going to do something if someone tells me how to do it. Right, like, what does, like, yeah, so this is the question, right? What does accountability look like in a situation like this? You know, I have witnessed situations not exactly like this, but I've seen situations like this before where I have felt like the person took an appropriate amount of accountability, right? Like, if there was... you know, if there were drugs involved, they were like, I have committed to going to AA now, and then fucking doing it. Like, okay, so I've seen this go down in a way where I think it went as well as it could have. Like, in that situation, I don't think that the person actually even did anything, but they were like, I can't remember if anything happened, and if I did, oh my God, that's terrible, and I'm going to immediately do a bunch of things to fix it. So I guess it sort of depends, like, what does Sophie do? I don't think that accountability... Like, I don't know how I feel about the idea of accountability within the greater community as far as, I think folks on Twitter have a tendency to like, we're going to hold you accountable. But that tends to mean like no one is ever satisfied. You know, you apologized too quickly and it wasn't genuine enough, or you waited too long and it wasn't genuine enough, and you didn't phrase it exactly right. So it isn't, you know, whatever. Like you need to donate money you need to like do recompense. You need to start listening to X group that you harmed. Like it's a really obnoxious process that we go through. And like, I do think that that's a valid, like a really good point that Alice made in her thread, or maybe I think it was actually in the letter itself, excuse me. In the letter, they said like accountability in this situation has to be done on the individual level. It's not going to happen collectively. You know, we're not engaging the systems of society where we decide to collectively agree to punish people for assault. You know, like they're specifically saying it's literally up to her to fix herself. But we are not interested in her fixing herself. We are interested in this harm no longer occurring. So, like, as far as they've said they don't care about damaging her reputation, I guess that is, like, kind of the only thing that they want to do, is they want people to not think of her as someone who is trustworthy because she is not trustworthy. Like, they do want people to know that she has done harm, right? Like, I think, you know, you can do what you want with that information. If you choose to be her friend and trust her anyway, if you, like these women, give it a grain of salt when you hear these allegations, you know, no one is telling you that you need to cut her off. No one is telling you that you need to unsubscribe from her Patreon or anything. No one is saying we want Sophie to be destitute. We don't want her to be homeless. But like, frankly, you probably need a different job, you know, in a week where we've had James Somerton delete his whole channel. Illuminati is just posting through it like there's nothing is happening. She's just still uploading regular content apparently. So yeah, Sophie, frankly, like I'm whatever the process is, I think it requires for her stepping away from the community, like not trying to have a leadership role, you know. And like, unfortunately, to an extent, being a streamer in this context, or being a YouTube creator, whether it's a video essayist or a streamer, whoever, like, you are kind of a leader of a group of people. You know, you can tell your folks to do stuff, and sometimes y'all will do things. Like if I say, please hit like on the video, a good portion of you will do it because I've just reminded you that the like button exists and that it would be really sweet if we could hit 100 likes in this stream. Wow, I love doing that. And like similarly, if you're a Calvin Guerra out there and you're cultivating an audience of people who are hateful and will go after folks, like if you're going after folks for being not trans enough and you have an audience who likes that you're doing that, you're cultivating an audience of people who are going to try to harm people who aren't trans enough according to their worldview. So like, I think in this instance, you know, Sophie was trying to be a leader. In fact, like there's this DJ Mule thing, and like, you know, just as an aside with DJ Mule, like Sophie from Mars was friends with DJ Mule, and I don't know if any of you remember, DJ Mule is the Simon Whistler from Wish. Like he tried really hard, and he tried to do this character assassination of Xander Hall thing regarding Xander Hall's breakup with his financially abusive girlfriend, and it was a whole thing. And Sophie and them are friends, and there's this video I'd love to show you about from DJ. All my homies hate DJ Mule. True, dude. That whoever cut together that supercut of all the reactions to DJ Mule's video, that was funny, and I need to go back and watch it again sometime because it was worth it. Okay, hold on. Nope, that's not the right button. I want my profile button so that I can see what I've retweeted. Yes. Okay, we're here. It's such an epic supercut. Like, it's so good. Like, I forgot some of my own jokes that I made, and the way that they were cut into the supercut, I was like, Lamau! Very funny stuff. Okay, DJ Mule, take it away.
It's not
start over. Hold on.
So, talking about bad faith, this is bad faith in its entirety. While Xanahol is talking about this, his chat further adds to the narrative that Sophie is a monster, calling her a psycho amongst other bad faith arguments. Who is this Sophie? It's not the Sophie I know. The one that I've spent literal days with, who loves and cares about her friends. She loves and cares about her comrades so much and is desperate to get people to change the horrific world that we live in. I certainly wouldn't call her a psycho.
So yeah, he's presenting her as someone who, oh, she really loves and cares about her community. She really wants to make the world a better place and like change the world. So if you are a creator and you have aspirations like, I want to affect change in the world, then you as a creator in that position, you are positioning yourself as a leader, as someone with power, as someone who is trying to set themselves as an example. You're basically saying, I think that I'm right about these things, and I think that other people should do things the way that I do them. I think that other people should think the way that I think. And listen, everybody feels that way to some extent, I think. Lots of folks think, well, I'm right, and if only people did things the way I do them, then the world would be so much better. Like, if only people drove the way that I drive, then there would be less traffic. Or like, if only people communicated the way I communicate, there wouldn't be any of these issues anymore if people only did it the way that I do it. Right? I think everybody kind of does that, right? Most people don't position themselves in a situation where they have influence over other people, you know? Can I be a leader for T-Girl Riz? Do it! I agree that an abuser should not be platformed while this crisis is ongoing. I believe in supporting someone in the process of reforming, but IMO, that's only while they're in the process and with utter transparency. Right. We have to feel assured that you really are taking it seriously. She put out the apology too soon to have a clear plan for what she's supposed to do. Like, is she going to seek therapy that is kind of aware of the abuser dynamic? You know, like the way that you do therapy for someone who is having a hard time with that aspect of the dynamic is different than the kind of therapy you give to other people. And you have to be careful because abusers will go to therapy and then start using the therapy language like to manipulate you more, you know, like it is a danger that you have to be aware of. So like she didn't outline, I am going to, they mentioned drugs in this, so I am going to go sober and like I am going to quit smoking cigarettes, or like nothing like that. No concrete promises, no concrete intentions for change. And like, again, you know, there is a question as to like, does she owe us that explanation? Does she owe us the detailed information? And it's like, no, she doesn't. But so long as she doesn't have a clear plan for how she is going to improve, she cannot be in a leadership position. Like, she just can't. We can't have her being the one who we are having speak at rallies representing our cause. Like, she cannot be in that position, at least for a while, after she can demonstrate that she is no longer the kind of person who engages in this dynamic. Yeah, exactly. If only people stayed inside like I stay inside, there would be far less traffic. Okay, but people need to use their fucking turn signals. Listen, you're not wrong, okay? You're not wrong. It undermines the cause otherwise. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, you know, it's like the whole thing with Aaron Green. You know, you can't just allow someone to continue being in a leadership role if they're clearly going to take advantage of that because they're not repentant about previous occasions in which they have taken advantage of that. That's the thing. It's like you have to be earnestly repentant and then try to make a big change. And she said she's going to, you know, and we'll see what happens. I'm not saying, you know, she's a bad person forever. I'm saying her actions from now, after her statement, are going to kind of determine like her future in the trans community, like on the whole, as well as within the leftist community of like people trying to make change. And it's wild to me that she is the kind of person who would just so eagerly come at other people. And I'll refer to Merrick on this one, who has made a scathing response to Sophie's tweet. Merrick says, TBH, I just like how sanctimonious and eager to tear down other people you've been for years. How comfortable lying and smearing people you've been for years. And you're like, yeah, of course it was projection and you are an abuser. It's actually so fucking boring and trite. Okay, first of all, I love Merrick. She's one of my favorites. Like, I don't know if she knows how much I think about her, but she's cool. And yeah, like, I think Merrick was one of the folks that Sophie has been shitty to before. Like, there is something personal here, and Merrick does have a more in-depth thread, and we can look at that in a second. But yeah, like, it's these folks who, first of all, they present themselves as soft uwu, I can't do any harm, and then they proceed to, like, go after people for being morally impure, basically. Like, this is what I would describe as woke scolds, okay? And I know that folks don't like that term because Ben Shapiro came up with it. For me, it's describing the specific behavior of being like, I'm more woke than you, and I'm going to treat you like crap and excommunicate you from the group if you are not, like, up to date on all of the current terminology and everything, you know? And ultimately, in my opinion, what that ends up being is kind of more just a way of reinforcing a social group. Like, you'll notice that it tends to be, oh, Sophie and Kira chats and Thought Slime, and, like, you know, these people have a tendency to circle around each other. It's always these same folks. They do this thing where they're willing to attack someone like a 19-year-old and accuse them of being a sex pest, and, like, with no evidence, and, like, attack folks and try to drive them off the platform effectively. It's just such a deep amount of projection, like, that I don't even know if it's projection. It just is abusive behavior. And Xander Hall has caught flack for describing this behavior as such. Like, it was Xander Hall describing Essence of Thought's behavior as abusive, and, like, he wasn't phrasing himself in a very good way, but that's, like, what made Essence of Thought start going after a whole bunch of us. And like, she still brings me up sometimes in her video essays about, like, oh, abuse apologia and stuff. It's like, you are being abusive in this online space. You know, you are doing this purity testing stuff and trying to cut off people socially and professionally from others in this space, when those interpersonal connections are, like, the way that we organize for future change, number one, and B, a lot of us make our living from being in the space. Yes, the whole actions speak louder than words thing. She really does need to either drop out of the public eye forever or come out with a statement of what she's going to do to change. Right. Like, if she goes to, let's say, rehab, again, because drugs are a part of the problem, if she's like, I'm texting you from rehab, you know, like Keffels did. Keffels was, like, doing all this crazy shit, and she was like, this is because I've been on drugs and they're making me crazy, so I'm gonna go to rehab. And then she fucking went to rehab. So, like, go to rehab and text from rehab that, like, yo, I'm making some serious changes. It will remain to be seen whether she decides to go the route where she's going to actually take accountability. Again, I personally think she just needs to quietly get a job doing something else and go to therapy. What I am imagining she's going to do is she's going to rebrand in about a month. I'm calling it now. I'm going to call it now. She's going to rebrand in a month. Check me on that in January. Like, let me know in January what's going on. 100 viewers. Wow. You people are the worst. I love you, okay? Anyway. Gayfesh, as always, just on fire, saying, ooh, I didn't know that burning people with cigarettes was abuse until someone reminded me that I burned people with cigarettes. Wow. Let's see. Okay, I need to go to Gayfesh's profile because he had something on here that I thought was funny. Okay. Where is it? Come on. Gayfesh, you tweet too much. And you retweet too much. Gosh darn it. Come on. I'm trying to find it. There's a screenshot of a tweet. Man, I'm going to be mad if I can't find this. Is it in a reply? Ooh, media. Ooh, media. Yes, I can find it in the media. Why is drama the most popular kind of stream? Right? Like, it's like the political stuff gets a pretty decent amount of clicks. The more inflammatory the political stuff, the better. But it's like the drama mongering that gets it the most. Okay, wait. It's in my mentions. Yes. Okay, I found it. No! Wait, was it not real? Gayfesh, you deleted the tweet. Where is it? Come on. Is it gone? Okay, I guess I can't show it if I can't find it. That's fine. I don't know if it, I wasn't sure if it was a real post or not. Allegedly, Sophie tweeted something pretty in bad taste, but I don't think that it actually was real. Okay, hold on. I found it. Wait. Okay, so this seems like a real tweet as far as people are like making it seem like it is real. So here it is from Sophie saying, putting out a cigarette, sigh, everything reminds me of her. Like, I don't know if that's real or if that's a god tier shitpost from someone who is fabricating a tweet from her, but if that's real, that's fucked up. It's gotta be fake. It's so funny. It's so funny if it's fake. Like, if it's real, it's really uncool. If it's fake, then that is a quick turnaround on a very funny joke. Very funny joke. She didn't think about how this behavior is going to backlash upon all trans women. I mean, I think that the problem is that she didn't ever think that she was going to get caught. That's the thing about certain types of abuse dynamics is like they feel so confident that they have convinced their victims that they deserve it, that they are not worried about their behavior being discovered. I honestly think that is a real post from Sophie. I think I remember it. Listen, I don't know, and I'm not going to commit. I don't know if it's real. If it is, it's horrible. If it's not real, it's the funniest thing I've seen, like, all year, potentially. Okay, there's been so many different tweets I've seen today. Okay, let me see. Where's Punished Mother again? She has a thread. We'll read a thread from Merrick. Okay. This is the problem, I think, because I think it's a real post, and I think she thought it was all consensual at the time, and because she's too oblivious of how awful she was as a dom, maybe, yeah. Has Thought Slime said anything about it? I'm not sure if Thought Slime has said anything about it. Did I finally unfollow Thought Slime? No, I follow Thought Slime still. Okay, so Thought Slime has retweeted Alice's post with the letter in it. So, Thought Slime is not, like, sticking with this. But, okay, so Merrick has posted a tweet thread saying, "Re the Sophie situation. If someone constantly has to put out the image that they're so moral and holier than thou, if they are smug and use social justice as a cudgel, if they participate in harassment campaigns and spreading rumors while appearing sanctimonious, that's a snake. I made peace with what was done to me regarding the lies, the rumors, the way genuine innocent ignorance on my part was used to paint me as a hateful extremist, the misogyny, trying to ruin my personal life, get me hurt IRL, etc. I have forgiven a lot, but I have not forgotten anything." Like, I didn't know all the details about this situation. Like, I don't know any of the details about what was going on between Merrick and Sophie in particular. I'm just waiting for the Demon Mama expose. Right, like, I'm like, what does Demon Mama know? She's gonna have some kind of dirt that I don't have. I'm almost 100% sure. So, okay, Merrick continues. I've watched this pattern play out so many times now over the years that this isn't surprising to me in any way, shape, or form. There's a problem of optimism mixed with naivete in leftist spaces that narcissists and abusers easily capitalize on and wield as a weapon. Right. Like, I wonder sometimes the kind of people who are fans of Sophie and who have defended her. And, like, I know some people in this chat have defended her, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions on you. I'm just saying, in general, people who have rallied around Sophie after her shitty behavior, is it because those people are easily duped by her, again, her like, oh, I'm a social justice person and I care about the community and like, you can trust me, believe in me. You know, those folks who are doing the tenderqueer thing, like, are these people convinced by that? Or are a lot of these folks like more like rabidly okay with and excited by the kind of behavior that Sophie engages in that is abusive? You know, like, how many of these people are fans of her because of her abusive behavior is like a question that I find myself asking. Like, how many people who allege to be like, who want allegedly a better future and they want trans people to have freedoms and they want, you know, luxury gay space communism or whatever, like, how many of those people are actually just fucking Sophies or wanna be Sophies, essentially? Sophie. I've been talking about her for an hour and I just forgot her name. To be clear, I've been a fan of Sophie, but I absolutely don't defend this behavior from her. I was a fan of her other content, not the targeted going after people stuff. Yeah, I enjoyed... She had an episode about BPD at one point that I enjoyed, and her partner wrote an episode about abortion and BoJack Horseman that I thought was so great. I loved that episode. Frankly, yeah, the one video of Sophie from Mars that I've watched more than once is a video in which she is not basically in it at all. Anyway, so... like, yeah, I wonder sometimes this, you know, how excited people get when one of their favorite woke scold creators is going on a witch hunt. Like, I don't know where that behavior comes from. And it makes me think, like, I am not sure if these are the kind of people that we can be in these spaces with. Like, you know, I'm just, there's a problem of how do we make sure that we're actually all on the same page? Are we on the same page with someone who alleges to be on board with, like, fighting climate change and making, like, society more equal and all this? Like, are we really aligned with those people if this is what they're like privately? Or are we really aligned with those people, you know, even the canceling behavior? Like, are we aligned with those people who are trying to socially harm others? I have decided a long time ago that Sophie is not someone I want in my movement. Like, I don't want to be in a movement that has Sophie in it. So I follow her on Twitter still, mostly because sometimes these people like to lock their accounts, and I want to be able to see what's going on. But I've had her muted for fucking ever. Like, I personally dislike her. Okay, I'm going to get myself new water really fast. I'm going to continue talking about this subject momentarily because we still have this tweet up from Merrick. We're going to keep reading Merrick's thread. I just need more water. I've been streaming for 2 hours, guys. You should get yourself a water too, and maybe a snack. But definitely hit the like button if you haven't. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Doesn't take very long. Good advice on the water. Listen, okay, so you know what I was saying before about how a streamer, whether they really want to believe it or not, is kind of like a leader? Well, I'm embracing that, and I will weaponize my parasocial relationship with you to make you drink more water and go to therapy. Yeah, to be 100% clear, if I follow someone on Twitter, that is not an endorsement, okay? I have several people who I follow and are muted because I'm like, I want access to you when you fuck up and you decide to make your shit private. Like, hey, what's up, Starsone? I haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome in. I agree with Vosh on this one. Liberals are more effective to work with than a lot of the online left. Listen, I don't think that that's a problem between liberals and leftists. I just think that that's a problem between like online versus offline activism. I'm not sure. No, don't become Dry Luigi. You don't want to become Dry Luigi. But yeah, so Starsona says, I don't like any abusive behavior, but I think in the past I hand-waved when she went after others because she was just against people that I felt were toxic or just made me uncomfortable in one way or another. I do think that that is the thing that a lot of people fall into. They might not recognize that the fact of the behavior, the fact that you're whipping up like sentiment against someone, excuse me, that you have an audience who will listen to you. Like, even if you tell people, oh, you know, the last thing I want is for anyone to go say anything to this person, blah, blah, blah. But, like, if you speak vitriolically about someone, if you cast them as a villain, if you make it seem like all of their actions are malicious and intentional, like, some amount of your audience is going to be like, well, that's a shitty person. And then they're like, that's going to spread. They're going to continue to, like, then they're going to tell other people. And it spreads. It's like, oh, I told 100 people that Sophie from Mars is an abuser. And then all of you 100 people who are here, you're going to tell someone else. You know, you're going to see someone posting positively about Sophie and you're going to be like, I regret to inform you that she's an abuser. Like, it continues and it's exponential. So yeah, if you are in a position of power as a creator, you have to be careful with who you target. Sophie is my age. Basically, I think maybe she's a little bit younger. I'm 30 or near enough. So she's almost my age. And she decided to go, wait, hold on. I want to I feel like I've done this before where I've said that she's the same age as me and she actually turns out to be a couple of years younger than me. Have I done this before? I guess she doesn't have her age posted. I want to be able to make this point. Does she have it on her profile? That's a question that I have. Oh my god, I'm having such a hard time navigating for some reason. Sophie, do you have your age on your profile? No, she doesn't have her age. Okay, so I'm just gonna skip that point. Like, whatever. She thought it was appropriate to, like, sex pest the whole Xander Hall situation, and he was, like, younger than her and, like, had just come out of a vulnerable situation. It's like, that's the thing that I find so irritating. I only knew her from a vid with Abigail Thorne in it. Yeah, I know. That's one of the hard things about doing any kind of collaborative content is, like, the idea that one of these people might be terrible and then you'll be implicated because you did some kind of work with them at some point. I prefer creators who keep criticism to the specific modifiable behaviors instead of sweeping statements from the get-go. Yeah. She's got a video where she spoke about a lot of jobs that she'd had after uni and before going full-time on YouTube, so she's certainly not super young. Yeah, I have it in my head that she's, like, more or less the same age as me. She might not be. But, like, I just, you know, I don't think that the behavior is acceptable. The online bullying and the us versus them shit and, like, the I'm going to use the most exaggerated terminology possible to describe your behavior so that, like, frankly, the way that these kind of people do things when they're, like, crying that they're the victim, they're doing the whole cry bully thing, is, like, they will describe your behavior in the worst way possible so that they can justify literally any retaliatory action against you. Like, if you portray someone as being like an abuse apologist, or like you say, if maybe, you know, like what Essence of Thought did with me one time, she said like abusers / abuse apologists, and then listed me and fucking Riley Grace Rochong of all people. Like, this is what abusers do to justify them abusing you, is they try to twist it around and make it seem like you're the aggressor. Yeah, listen, Mickey, because Riley and I continued to affiliate with Xander Hall after Xander Hall called out Essence of Thought's abusive behavior. Yeah, it was pretty silly. It's pretty silly. I remember Abby famously wouldn't collaborate with anyone for a long time after being burned by someone who I think was Peter Coffin. Yeah, and like, imagine, you know, she was friends with Sophie, I think. Like, they, at least, like, they were in the same circles, trying to do the same kind of activism. You know, they are both in a country where they do not have access to healthcare. Like, they are being actively prevented from having access to affordable healthcare with regarding their transition. You know, these 17-year-long wait lists and everything. So there is like a tight relationship that I think forms when you are experiencing that level of oppression. So yes, they have these relationships, and, you know, they are in each other's videos a little bit. You think that this person's a good person, and then you find out that they've been like horrible to people. But I, you know, again, do I kind of think less of Abby for continuing to be friends with Sophie after the whole Xander Hall thing? A little bit, but I understand, again, that like forged through fire kind of like relationship that forms when you're being oppressed to the degree that the UK does. Like, you know, so I was like, okay, I'm not going to come down too hard on Abby for that, because I understand the solidarity. And it seems like after genuine harm has been demonstrated outside the realm of the just blatantly abusive online behavior, you know, at least Abby is like, you know, I recognize this is not cool, and she supported Alice by responding to her tweet. So, okay, I need to go back to Merrick. I was in the middle of reading Merrick's thing, and I stopped. Oops, I gotta find it again. Hold on. Give me a second. I'll get back to it. Where is it? Where is it? Merrick. Oh, she didn't delete her fucking thread, did she, while I was in the middle of reading it? Merrick, you didn't. Come on. Hold on, I gotta scroll slower to make sure I'm not just missing it amongst all the other things. Merrick, did you delete your fucking thread? No. I always have to get screenshots. Man. Yeah, that's deleted. It's gone. She deleted it. Gosh darn it, Merrick. Oh well. You still need to take a water break? I took a water break. I left and filled my cup. Where were you? I just wasn't gone for very long. Go back in the VOD, won't get all of it. I mean, that's true. I could go back in the VOD a little bit. Okay, where is she? I'm trying to find it in the VOD. Okay, she was talking about, like, naivete. Okay, she does... Oh, she continues saying, I know a lot of your favorite leftist creators, both streamers and video essayists, and let me tell you something, they are fucking flawed people. Some of them are very much not good people either. It drives me crazy to see creators venerated so much. A lot of you need to wisen up. And I think that's as far as I can see in her thread. But she's basically saying, yeah, these people are potentially preying on you because they're trying to make money, you know? Oh, new Casey Miller just dropped? Oh, God. Oh, God. I haven't thought about Casey Miller in a while. I do think it's shit that transphobes will use this incident to shit on all trans people. Frankly, I don't even know if this is going to leave our community. I wonder if part of the incentive behind Alice and the other women asking that, like, people not go to the police about this, like, I wonder if it's because that would blow it up. Like, maybe the optics, that's so fucked. Like, that they can't seek, obviously they don't want to seek institutional, retribution, because probably they're leftists who are against institutional retribution. But even still, like, they run the risk of inflaming and worsening the situation in the UK. And, like, just calling back to the fact that, like, Sophie was in a transphobic incident at a bar. Like, some TERF said, there were no paper towels in the bathroom, and they were washing their hands, and Sophie was like, oh, I'll just wipe my hands off on my jeans. And the cisgender TERF thought that she said peen, or maybe she didn't even really think that she said peen. Maybe she just made some shit up. But that was Sophie. And so there is a possibility that if, Sophie gets arrested, let's say, for assaulting another trans woman because there's, like, this physical evidence of cigarette burns, like, that's like, that's going to inflame a lot of TERFs in that area who might go, hey, I knew that she in particular was a predator and was harmful, and then they're going to extrapolate that out to the whole rest of the trans community. So yeah, trans women, particularly in places like the UK, can't seek justice against other trans women, because then, yeah, it will make things worse for them. Like, then they have to be dealing with increased hostility and scrutiny in their lives, and not even accounting the fact that they also have to submit themselves to, like, being looked at by medical staff who might not gender them correctly, like submitting themselves to rape kits or, like, whatever. I don't know that there was rape in this instance, but I'm just saying, like, generally, if a trans woman harms another trans woman, they have to submit themselves to all of these, like this testing to make sure, like, what actually happened. Oh, we need to get pictures of your bruises and all this. Like, that in and of itself is a dissuading factor. But then additionally, obviously they don't want to experience heightened transphobia, where, like, victims of violence are then treated like perpetrators, which happens to so many trans women. I could almost certainly see this making its way to some online website, and then the UK rags picking it up. They are ferocious. So yeah, I mean, honestly, the more low-key this news stays, the better it is for trans women, particularly in the UK. Like, it's better if this stays within the realm of, like, okay, now all of the trans women in the UK who might have wanted to date Sophie will know better than to do that, right? But it's like, how do you keep that contained? How do you make sure this message makes it to enough trans women that they will know better than to trust her, versus, like, it not getting out to a broader media audience and then confirming all of these transphobic rhetoric, all of this transphobic rhetoric, I should say. Transphobes don't even need real things to shit on trans people. It's the people who aren't sure how they feel about trans people who are going to be swayed by things like this. Of course, yeah, transphobes don't need a trans woman to actually do something harmful. They'll just make shit up. They'll misrepresent facts. They will obfuscate information in order to spin it in a way that makes them look correct. It's just, they're going to be dedicatedly transphobic no matter what the science says, no matter what the statistics say. And it's people who are like, I'm not sure. It seems like they're not harmful. Like, every single trans woman who ends up on the news for doing something fucked up or like creepy or, like, sexually weird, it's a poor reflection on everybody. It doesn't matter that that's, like, a vanishingly small percentage. I'm already seeing it get caught by other outlets when I searched for Sophie from Mars stuff on Twitter. That's a bummer. Andy Ngo has spoken about... Oh, no! No! I hate him. He's not the best. yeah, the Daily Mail and the Sun lap up any negative trans press. They're gonna post like a bunch of negative articles all year and then try to capitalize on the Brianna Jai murder trial. It's fucked up. I don't know what else we can say about this situation. You know, like, we can hope that Sophie goes to therapy and very successfully becomes like a wonderful, you know, contributing member to her local community. And it's like, is she still with the same person who did the abortion video? She had a partner who did the video talking about abortion on her channel, and I don't know if she's still with that person. I thought that she was. It's mad because the majority of people are pro or neutral towards trans people, but you'd never know it based on the media. Similar thing here in the US. Like, you wouldn't know it based on all the laws they're trying to pass, that these are wildly unpopular. Which we do have another segment we could talk about today. We could talk about what has ended up happening with Ohio passing their law. What's annoying? Oh my God, true. What's annoying is that the math doesn't even work in their favor here. One trans woman has abused 5 other trans women. So by their standards of looking at anecdotes, based on this incident, trans women are 5 times more likely to be victims than abusers, but they ignore the victims. Yeah. Or they say, oh, you really wanted it. Or you deserved it because you're a sex freak. Like, it's shameless. That was Nat. They are still together. They were in a stream together as recently as a few days ago. Boy, howdy. Like, man, is Nat okay because she's AFAB and Sophie only does this to other trans women? Or like, wow, what is that situation like? So it sort of remains to be seen, what is Sophie gonna actually do? And like, I think beyond that, we should just be willing to continue trucking along and not spend a huge amount of time focusing on it. You know, it's a great jumping off point for talking about other dynamics that are useful. You know, I'm not trying to make this inflammatory content where we're doing like we're going to make her seem like the worst person ever. Like, it's a jumping off point to have other conversations about, you know, what does accountability look like? How do we protect ourselves in BDSM situations? Yeah, the AFAB only housing assholes. True. If anything, they're just going to say trans women are 5 times more abusive. God. It's a loss for the movement in trans UK also. Like, because Sophie was the type of person who decided to... This is the other thing about like abusive people that you have to watch out for, is like, they seek to put themselves in leadership positions. It's not just, you know, they end up in leadership positions. They want to be influential. They want to have people listen to them. And like, yes, I do that too, right? You know, I'm just going to admit it. I'm not saying that I'm a narcissist or that anybody else is inherently a narcissist because they think that their ideas are good. And if you only did what I say, then you will do it the right way. But like, it is worth examining, like, who are the types of people who put themselves in these positions, who want to be speaking at the rally? You know, who are the folks who want to be the figurehead of the movement? Like, she was doing something good for her community because she was speaking out against the horrendous discrimination that the NHS is forcing on all trans people in her country. You know, like, that's fucked up. And it's good that she was there speaking against it. And it's like, too bad that you have someone who, you know, I mean, I don't really think she was making any difference. Like, if we're being honest, the UK press did not talk about that at all. They had a huge die-in, like a huge protest, and the UK media just didn't cover it. Nothing changed. Nothing is better. So it's not like she actually made an impact or anything. But, you know, her heart was, I guess, in the right place. Or so we fucking think. Like, you know, so we would like to hope. Right. Yeah. Sadly, the police would probably be more abusive than a literal abuser. Yeah. These women can't risk coming in contact with the police. Well, at least folks know now what she's like. Like, at least folks know that they should steer clear, or, you know, they can make their own informed decision about whether they want to continue interacting with her or not. Someone asked earlier, you know, do you stop being friends with someone who does something messed up? You know, it sort of depends on, like, what it is that they've done. Like, am I going to continue to be friends with someone who is trying to, like, do character assassination on other people online? I feel like that reflects badly on me. Like, I don't, like, that's a self-centered way to look at it. But if I were friends with someone who was doing just the public behaviors that Sophie has done, like, I would be embarrassed. There's a reason why I say, like, I don't want to be in a movement with these people, is because I don't want it to seem like I tacitly approve of this, like, I'm going to cancel you, or, like, I'm going to attack a 19-year-old, you know, like, going after Merrick. Like, I don't even know the details of what happened with Merrick, but Sophie has antagonized her directly, and I usually consider that a red flag. When people go after Merrick and Doe, I consider that red flag behavior. I'm like, I don't want to know you. You seem like a bad person. So it's good that Alice spoke out. You know, at least people can move with knowledge and be cautious if they want. And maybe we can hope that this is, like, the turnaround that Sophie needs to make. Let's hope that she makes a nice big change, like she said she was going to. Drink some water. I've ended friendships that outed another friend as having been abused. Trust is essential for me to keep a friendship. Yeah, if someone is willing to do that social ostracization shit to someone else, they're willing to do it to me. That's why I'm not friends with fucking SJWs anymore. Like, the kind of people who do this, like the woke scold tenderqueer SJW behavior. There's a reason I don't associate with any of those people. And frankly, like, I'll admit, that's a little bit of my fear of abandonment, like, controlling how I interact with other folks. But I'm not gonna be friends with someone who I have to worry about attacking me publicly and, like, trying to cut off my relationships with other people in the space by telling them how I'm so terrible. Like, that's, like, I do not want to be affiliated with you people. Fear of rejection and abandonment is the worst. Yeah, my fear of abandonment is kind of like my most intense problem. Like, it's like the thing that is going to take a probably lot more therapy to work on. But, you know, we're working on it. We're trying to be healthy. We're trying to be good. It's funny because you were called one. Yeah, like, listen, when I shit talk SJWs, I want to be clear that I was in the first wave of people who were being called that and who decided to start claiming it for ourselves. Like, literally, when the term SJW became into existence and started being used as an insult, I was there and I was one of them. You know? And it's just that you know, it has expanded into this, you know, purity testing. It's not just about being a progressive person. Like I say, there's a lot of social clique dynamics now where it is more about, oh, we're all perfect and good and you're bad. And it is these type of people. It is people like Sophie who are the ones driving that dynamic. So I'm like your dog. Do any of you have a dog in your family and you're like, you're one of those families who's like, you know, I love everybody, but if my dog doesn't trust you, then I don't trust you. Like, I am the dog. When I don't like someone, it turns like, listen, it has very rarely happened that I've been like, I kind of don't like this person and I don't know why. I'm just going to stop associating with them because these 2 or 3 kind of nitpicky things that I don't like. And then it turns out later that they're like a 40-year-old hitting on 19-year-olds or putting out cigarettes on their partners. Like, listen, I'm the dog. You just have to trust me. Anytime I intuitively don't like someone, give it a couple years. Get like a maximum of a couple years, and you will find out that that person has done something heinous, because there is something about my intuition that just fucking knows. I'm curious if obsession with moral purity is coming from a place of unaddressed trauma. I don't know what exactly it is. Like, the obsession with moral purity coming from a place of unaddressed trauma. Possibly. Like, the idea that, you know, you have to be exactly like me or exactly aligned to my values or I don't trust you. Like, maybe there's somewhere, like, maybe there's trauma in that. And, you know, folks like Sophie are obviously in a traumatic situation. And, like, I don't know. I've gotten the impression from when Sophie talked about their BPD, the borderline personality disorder, in their video about it, it kind of gave me the impression, which I've had from other trans women with BPD before, who I know personally, actually. I get the impression that they're kind of like the problem in every situation. You know? Like, I know a trans woman with BPD who is like a serial cheater, or at least has been. And these people are like they act as though like their problems are, I'm not trying to shit talk like any particular person that I know at this point. Like I'm extemporaneously, just more broadly speaking. It seems like these type of people really blame their actions on their disorder. They're like, I am the way that I am because I am BPD. And, like, you cannot define me without BPD. Like, that is intrinsically part of me. And it's like, it just kind of seems like you want to be fucking abusive and, like, not have anybody call you out for it, you know? There's a whole other creator situation that I could talk about, and I'm not going to. I don't know why I've decided to not talk about this other situation. But, like, there are other situations with other creators, again, people who are putting themselves in these leadership roles where they do this same thing where they say, like, well, I am the way that I am because of my trauma or because of my hormonal disorder or because of my BPD. And like, first of all, I really hate it when people tie their whole personality to their disorder. Like, I think that you should be able to imagine yourself more functional than that. You should be able to imagine a world in which you are not fucking crazy, because that's part of becoming not crazy. And, you know, the way that some of these people describe their interactions and the way that they describe their BPD and the, you know, sort of impact that it has on their lives, it does sometimes seem to me like you just can't accept that you have culpability and that, like, you just need, like, the serial cheater. It's like, just stop. You know, like, what do you mean? Like, you feel out of control in this behavior. Just, like, what? Like, there are so many steps from being in a relationship to then cheating on the person. Like, how, like, each step you had to be proactively doing it. You're out there on Tinder, you're out there, like, meeting people, you have to have a whole conversation in order to get to the point where you're, like, having a physical interaction with someone. Of course, lots of people would describe all of those intermediate steps as cheating as well. Like, for some folks, if you have Tinder on your phone, that's cheating. And, like, even if you're just looking, like, I get it, like, everybody has different boundaries, but, like, just exercise some control over your behavior or seek therapy. Yeah, it's a therapy or a Sex Addicts Anonymous situation. It's obviously usually not as simple as just stop, but to an extent, it's like, how many times can you watch someone create their own disaster before you go, yeah, you are just the problem and you need to do something to change it. And, like, again, like, we're hearkening this all back to, we're having this whole conversation in the context of, like, Sophie, like, you, like, recognizing that you're doing something messed up in the first place, I guess, is the first step. Like, you just acknowledging that what you've done is messed up, and then obviously whatever actions you take concretely after that to make it stop. But my sympathy does run out for people who appear to be the disaster in their own lives. And again, like, I am the airplane that comes back with bullet holes that gives people the survivor bias. Like, that, you know, I realize that I am not the same as other people. Like, I have been able to make some big changes in my life and my behavior. It is still difficult for me, and I am still making those efforts. And Like, I recognize that not everybody has the same resources or the same personality. Lux has no sympathy for me because I'm definitely the source of all my problems, or a lot of my problems. Listen, self-awareness, again, is the first step. Yes, exactly, Athia, thank you. Your behavior may be driven by a disorder, but that does not remove all of your responsibility for it, even if that's where it comes from. There is a fine line between an explanation and an excuse. Like, you can have a reason for your behavior. You can understand that the reason why you threatened your partner with suicide was that you just have really intense fear of abandonment. But if you stop there and you say, oh, well, I said that I was going to kill myself because I have really severe abandonment, and you saying you were going to leave me triggered me, and that's why I behaved that way. It's like, okay, that doesn't matter. Again, it's the whole thing about the abusive behavior. A lot of abusers just feel like, oh, I'm just being honest. Like, yeah, maybe you do feel like your entire world would end if your partner left you. Maybe you do genuinely have a hard time imagining continuing to live in a world where you're not in this relationship anymore. But it doesn't make it less abusive for you to use that to try to prevent someone from leaving you. Like, I don't even know that there is an appropriate way to talk about your own feelings in the middle of a breakup. Like, I kind of just feel like you need to remove them from the situation, like, in order to deal with it healthily. Like, if your partner is trying to leave you, just be like, cool, like, I'll deal with my emotions later. We can have a practical conversation about our breakup now. Because, yeah, you do run the risk. Even if you say, like, even if you are describing the material impacts that the breakup will have on you, it's still abusive behavior. It's still manipulative behavior. I feel like Sophie has always been one of those people don't change, stay canceled people, and her quote apology makes it sound as if she's going, I'll be back, I'll change, I promise. Yeah, it is hard to give someone the benefit of the doubt who refuses to give others the benefit of the doubt. Sorry, I wasn't here earlier, so no need for a full rundown, but who did a bad? What's the synopsis? Sophie from Mars, video essayist, has previously been one of those big I'm gonna cancel people kind of folks, and she has been allegedly physically abusive to some of her intimate partners, including burning one of them with a cigarette. So, yeah, that's kind of the whole situation that we've been talking about for the last hour and a half or whatever. In regards to the unaddressed trauma, and this is only spitballing, but being in an environment that is so caustic, such as anti-Indigenous and anti-Blackness, that they are now possibly overcorrecting with the obsession with moral purity. Yeah, I don't know. It's, we're always running into shaky ground when we start speculating as to, like, why people are abusive. This is literally, like, the thing that got Xanderhall in trouble and got me in trouble by extension with regards to the Essence of Thought situation was Xanderhall was speculating, well, Essence of Thought has said that they were abused as a child. And so Xan was saying, well, their behavior in the modern day is abusive. Perhaps they are abusive because they were abused when they were younger. That's a problematic take, okay? We've just, like, even during the stream when that discussion was happening, I was like, that's not the right way to put that, bro. Like, and, I was encouraging him to clarify his statements and, like, make more sense than he was making. So, yeah, most of the time, victims do not become perpetrators, right? So maybe some people who are victimized do, they learn that behavior and then they perpetuate it because they don't know any better, right? But the overwhelming majority of the time, people who are abused feel bad about the abuse, and so they understand because of how they feel that they should not do those things to other people, that they would not want to inflict that on other people. So I personally don't want to head down that route where we're talking about the potential of, maybe Sophie was abused and that's why she is the way she is. Maybe she just doesn't know that what she's doing is bad. Like, maybe. But again, I feel like there's, I don't know, maybe like a diagnosable empathy problem with specifically those very few, that minority of victims who become perpetrators. I said this on Twitter, but the situations with We're in Hell and now Sophie makes you wonder what other shit goes down behind closed doors with that circle of the online left. Yeah, We're in Hell. I didn't really talk about that situation in detail because I think that the victim was basically like, I don't want people to keep talking about this. And I don't know We're in Hell. Like, I don't follow his content. Maybe I've been on a group call with him on like the surfs before years ago, but I don't think I've ever really talked to him. And yeah, there was a whole situation where his partner claimed that he had been abusive emotionally and then also was like taking advantage of her when she was after she had taken her sleeping medication. You know, it was a whole thing. And I didn't really talk about it that much, but We're in Hell, I think, is in that same sort of circle of Sophie and these folks who, you know, We're in Hell is doing just fine. He just had a video that did like better than most of any of his videos. The lady who he harmed had just tweeted about it again and going, you know, me coming out about him having assaulted me did nothing to harm him. He is still making money in this space on this account, like on this account where I called him by name my abuser. To clarify, I wasn't spitballing in the Sophie situation, just about a possible reason as to how someone could come to obsessing with purity politic. Yeah, well, in generally speaking, the types of SJWs who aren't abusive, who are engaging in this sort of purity politic stuff, it may be the case that they're traumatized from being misgendered every day in their real life. So maybe it's really important to them to have, morally pure, only other trans people around them who 100% of the time ask for your pronouns and never guess. There could be reasons why people want to protect themselves and limit who they come in contact with. We live in a bigoted society. And, I'm sure a lot of us have had experiences where we get to know someone who seems nice, and then we find out that they have some horrible belief. And maybe they even have a belief directed at us and they don't know it because they don't know that we're trans or whatever. So, the messed up thing is that one of the people that the person who called out We're in Hell initially confided in was Sophie, apparently. Ooh. Yeah, even if you have PTSD, if you have an outburst, even if it makes sense in the context of your particular triggers for your PTSD, yeah, it is still your mistake. You still have to take accountability and apologize to the best of your ability. And listen, accountability is hard. It's always hard to admit that you've done something messed up, particularly if you are like, oh, I was out of control and I don't feel like that even really represents me, which can happen sometimes in these situations, being triggered and feeling like you're out of control and being reactive at people in a way that you don't mean to be, being emotional in ways that even you find to be unexpected, it's a hard thing to be dealing with. And it's hard for your partners and your friends and your family to deal with if you don't have a lock on it. And it would, it's good for them to be understanding. That doesn't mean that that they're going to absolve you of accountability if you say something harmful or if you do something harmful. Again, it might be your fear of abandonment from your PTSD that makes you tell your partner that you're gonna do the big unalive. Doesn't make it okay for you to say it anyway. Sophie went really hard on sharing her statement. Oh man. I really wasn't paying much attention to the whole We're in Hell thing. I know about it, and I think I followed the person who was posting about her experience with him. See, I want to know if there's anything else that I missed with this. I'm sure that I saw some tweets that I wanted to talk about, and then I just didn't add them to my notes. So, maybe we are finally running toward the end of all the shit that I have to say about this. Oh, I saw that Trin on Blue Sky was talking about this. I wonder if they added anything. I'm super grateful to myself that I have never been physical or violent with my partners, but my words are vicious. IDK people need to own mistakes and make what amends can be made. I'm glad that you are at least self-aware about that. I have the opposite problem where I can't communicate when I'm angry because I don't trust myself to not say something fucked up in the moment. And like historically, my anger has been really intensely policed, so I feel a lot of anxiety while trying to ramp up to explain to someone that I'm upset with them. So it's like just a recipe for me being already really worked up when I'm trying to calmly explain to someone that I'm angry. And like, yeah, I just can't communicate when I'm angry, or I'll try to communicate via text, or I'll write a note or something. Because, yeah, I don't want to be someone who says things that I don't mean. So Trin, yes, Trin said something that I find interesting. So Trinket says here, this is on Blue Sky. Sucks to go into this, but I've heard details of major consent violations from multiple parties, and people really need to be aware. So this is how I found out about this, actually, was from this post on Blue Sky. And she adds, I hooked up with her a few months ago, and there were definitely red flags that I ignored at the time. For example, she told me a story about going too hard with someone at a rave whilst intoxicated, and I foolishly assumed it was an honesty thing. However, I now believe that to be bragging. It was supposed to be funny, I think. So, like, she like, I don't know what going too hard means exactly, but I'm assuming she's referring to, like, a sexual encounter where, like, she did something that was maybe, like, a violation, or, like, I don't know what too hard means, but Trinket is basically giving us a little bit of an insight into how Sophie describes her own behavior and, like, how she tells the story and, like, you know, how she frames herself. Like, Trinket is in retrospect going, I don't know what she, like, was trying to say. I assumed that she was trying to be honest about her having done something regrettable, but it seemed actually in retrospect that maybe it was supposed to be funny. And this person says, not the first time I've heard this story being told. Trinket replies, I felt it was sort of a, hey, making you aware thing, but it absolutely wasn't. The conversation was mostly about drug stuff at the time. I can't remember specifics, but I sort of internally went, that sounds fucked, but I guess it's an honesty thing, and it sounds like a negotiated mistake. So again, like, that's just that, like, little insight in there. And I think Trinket always also has, like, a teeny bit more on the subject. Yeah, Trinket adds, I feel like absolute shit after everything today. I pride myself on spotting danger signs because I've dealt with a lot of bad shit in my life, and I just convinced myself I didn't see any there, and it took me much longer than I'm comfortable with to start to feel odd and back off. Now I'm seeing more and more of what she's like, and even after a week of finding out how she is, I'm seeing more of it today, and she was starting to pull some of it with me too, and I only didn't fall for it because of sheer dumb luck. I'm trying not to beat myself up, and yeah, I'm better armed for it next time, but I still feel a bit sick. This is the thing. This is, like, the dynamic that gets created that's so, like, it's the lasting emotional and psychological harm from a situation like this that ends up hurting so badly. It's not even just, excuse me, it's not even just, oh, I physically have a scar because this person burned me. It's like, I didn't trust myself, or, like, what is wrong with my intuition that I didn't notice this beforehand? Like, why did I allow myself to be in this situation? I think Trinket says that she hooked up with Sophie at some point. So, like, I guess Sophie was weird with her, but not necessarily abusive. Maybe this story about going too hard with someone at a rave was trying to test Trinket to see how she would respond. This is why I'm scared of being drunk or high, scared that intrusive thoughts can become harmful actions. I don't think that, you know, getting drunk or high is going to change anything about who you are as a person. I really do think that, again, abusive people will use the cover of, oh, I was just drunk, as, like, an excuse to be shitty. Like, I know someone who divorced a year or two ago, and that was a common thing in their marriage, was like basically the husband being like, oh, well, you know, it doesn't really matter because I was drinking, or like, oh, I didn't mean to say that because I was drinking. And it's like, abusive people are going to say abusive shit to you, and then they're going to come up with whatever excuse they need to. They're going to say, oh, it's because I was drunk, or, oh, you know, it's because you make me so crazy. You know, like, they're going to come up with anything, some way to make it not their fault, whether it's the drugs or the alcohol, or, you know, you did something to me to make me be like this. Like, it is always just them trying to dodge acknowledgement that they are personally responsible for the way that they treat you. A lot of this is why I try to say this is an explanation, not an excuse if I do a little bad. Like, here is why it happened. It's still my fault. I will work to make sure I will work out how to avoid doing this in the future. Yeah. And then from there, it's like you just have to change the behavior. Like, ultimately, no matter what you say in the moment, if you harm someone, whatever you say in the moment is probably not going to make anything better. It will only get better if things change in the future, if things go differently next time. I used to be a raging dick when I was caught up in my trauma before I got into healing and therapy. It's no excuse. Listen, one of the things that makes me feel so different from the person that I was like 5 years ago, I'm like, I don't even understand that person's decisions half the time because they were coming from such a place of trauma. Like the behavior was erratic because I was just not equipped to deal with what was going on with me. Like, my traumas having stacked up over a period of time, and like the desperate behavior that I would engage in, like so many different things that I'm like, wow, I don't understand that. Like, I don't like the fact that I used to drink so much, and like just all this irresponsible shit. Like the fact that I would drink on the same nights that I took Ambien. Like, I just don't know why I did half the things that I did, because I just was in a bad place of mind. And now that my thoughts are more clear and everything, you know, is less influenced by constant trauma. Like, there is still trauma, for sure. Like, I had a big cry yesterday. Yesterday fucking sucked. Today kind of also sucks because, like, I do still have trauma about stuff. But I can recognize, oh, I'm fucking losing it right now. And I need to, like, step away from the situation, you know? And, like, that's the thing that you have to be willing to do, is go, oh, in this situation, I am going to be a problem unless I manage myself. Oh my gosh, I'm so itchy. Yeah, I mean, if you have intrusive thoughts, I guess therapy is the way to go. Like, again, being willing to say, yes, the things that I am doing or the things that I want to do are harmful, and it's worth it to me for the people around me in my life and for myself to be able to sleep better. I am going to make the decision to be, like, better. Like, I'm going to really follow through. So particularly because so many of these, like Trinket and Alice both, or I guess, again, like that letter that Alice posted was co-signed by 5 different women. 6 different women have now said that there are drugs involved, or intoxication, alcohol, drugs, something. So, you know, I will say, as far as like accountability, I do kind of expect Sophie to go to rehab. And I think if she doesn't, that everything else is not going to flow from there. Like, because I think that addressing the addictive behavior might be able to help address some of this other stuff. Like, if we find out what it is that's making her do the drugs and stuff, like, that might be something that can help her unlock, you know, why she feels the need to be controlling and to harm people. And again, that is going to be a long process, but I think it starts with rehab. That's my personal opinion. I think that's where it has to start. There is going to be no healing from this situation until that issue at the very minimum gets addressed. Because I don't know how you can claim to be taking accountability if you're still being irresponsible with drugs and alcohol. Like, I don't know how you can claim I'm going to make sure this doesn't happen again if you're still engaged in this reckless behavior, frankly. Good grief. It's been... Did I just talk about that for 2 hours? I had a lot to say about that. Yeah, addiction is a social disease influenced by your environment. I think, you know, a lot of this is just some kind of social disease that she has. There's some need not being met is like, you know, usually what is happening here. There's some need not being met or some unaddressed issue, and it's going to take professionals to make that happen. And the unfortunate thing is that she lives in the UK. So if she tries to go to therapy, she's going to get put on a huge, like, wait list. And it's probably going to be a very poor... Like, I literally don't know if there is such a thing as therapy that will help her that she has access to because of the garbage situation in the UK where getting on, you know, everything is being massively underfunded on purpose to try to privatize out more and more of the services that the NHS provides. So that's the unfortunate thing is, you know, we can say we want her to get help. We can say we want her to go to rehab. But is that even an option for her? If she tries to go to rehab, you know, she's trans. She still has to worry about being assaulted for being trans in an environment where there are a bunch of other drugged out dangerous people. So, like, seriously, like, I actually don't know what the thing is that she's going to be able to do. Partially formed hot take. I will gladly back down from this. I wonder whether part of the problem here is fear of prison. Perhaps if prison abolition happened and the replacement system was a true rehab and restorative system, we would see more abusers own up and actually access said rehab. Yeah, I don't know how it works in the UK. If she tries to go to therapy and she says, I burned my partner with a cigarette, are they going to have a mandatory reporting even if the victim doesn't want to press charges? Like, in the United States, for the most part, you might be arrested and booked in a domestic situation, but if the person doesn't want to press charges on you, then you might not actually face any consequences aside from just having been arrested that one night. I mean, at that point, then you have to, if a job ever asks you, have you been arrested, then you have to say yes from that point. So it does kind of impact you a little bit, but yeah, I do wonder if, like, not fearing the retributive aspect, you know, if rehab were a safer situation, again, she lives in a country where she can't go access single-sex services as a woman. She's had facial feminization surgery. I don't know if she's had vaginoplasty. Like, she could be, like, 100%, like, they could strip search her and know that she's trans. Like, I don't know what her situation is in that regard. And, like, she's at risk of being harmed if she tries to commit herself to something like a rehab institution. And it's not even just the other people in the program. She has to worry about the people running the program as well, denying her access or otherwise, like, harming her while she's in treatment. So, frankly, like, I hope she reaches out for resources, you know? Is like, unfortunately, she's going to have to probably work harder than most people to get the kind of help that she will need in order to stop being harmful to the people around her. And I get, yeah, that's like an aspect of this that I've been yammering about this for 2 hours, and it only just occurred to me, like, man, I don't even know that she has the option to do something like rehab. I think Keffels went to rehab in Canada, where they have human rights protections for trans people. And she's transitioned when she was so young, like, people cis-vestigate Keffels, you know what I mean? Whereas I would say, you know, Sophie, despite the fact that she got FFS, is still considerably more clocky. Yeah, the NHS is a wonderful system. Unfortunately, it is run by the British. Why are you Britbongers such weird, terrible people? Anyway, that was 2 hours of talking about Sophie from Mars. I genuinely don't know what else I could wring out of this at this point. There's no such thing as pressing charges in the UK. The Crown Prosecution Service decides who to charge. Mandatory reporting for therapists would depend on whether the person is judged to be a continued risk to others, and I think it depends on whether they're in a position of power over others. Not sure about the ins and outs, though. Okay, so yeah, in the UK, it's not, if you commit assault, you are not charged, like, based on whether the person wants to press charges, I guess. And I'm sure it depends on where you're at in the US as well. There probably are situations where you might harm someone and they might not press charges, but they still, like, maybe they want to arrest you for public intoxication or something. You know, like, what happened was you got into a drunken brawl, and maybe the person that you punched doesn't want to press charges, but you were still publicly intoxicated or maybe disturbing the peace or something. So they'll still charge you for something, depending on what the situation is. Can I proactively not press charges for my own murder? Yes. Yeah, I'm going to say that that's exactly how it works. For sure. Oh, gosh. Breadtuber abuser drama is how to get the clicks on the show. That's how to do it. That's apparently the trick. I wonder if it helps at all that I've been uploading, like, daily for a month now. Probably. I wonder if that is, like, you know, it's recommending the content to more people. That's always interesting. Anyway, so from this point in the stream, we're probably going to shift gears and talk about something going on in Ohio. So, you know, we're going to talk about anti-trans bills stuff in Ohio, and that might be the, like, last major segment of today's show. I need to check and see where I left off on Cats Are Liquid before I jump in and try to play that again. So we're probably not going to do a game at the end of today's stream. I think I'm probably going to take, like, a quick bathroom break and then come back to talk about Ohio and chit-chat about, you know, whatever else comes up. There was a lot. Violet, thank you, and Mama, thank you for posting in the stream recommendations channel on the Discord server, because that helps me figure out what I'm going to talk about. There was so much to choose from this week that we could have talked about, and I just decided that I was going to not do that. I just didn't want to have another stream where I have 5 segments that I need to edit. Yes, thank you. Yeah, super. Thank you for posting. So for the time being, while I'm running to the bathroom, I'm going to leave you with Hassan, because that's what I always do. If you're new here, this is my little routine. Because Hassan has done this to so many people, it is my tradition. It's always fair use to make fun of Hassan by letting his video play while I go to the bathroom. No Segi on the Irish dancing bit. Oh, I mean, I guess we could do the Irish dancing thing. It's just, I joined the Discord because of the daily uploading. Thank you. It turns out that's the secret. We have 11 likes. Amazing. Thank you guys for being here, for liking, for interacting. This has been such an engaging conversation, and that really helps jolly things along. It helps, you know, when you ask a question, it reminds me, oh, there's this whole other tangent that I could go on. So I appreciate the back and forth very much. But yeah, I'm going to find some Hassan to react, not really to react to put on while I leave and go to the bathroom. This one had Biden in the thumbnail, so good luck, have fun.
We've moved far beyond COVID at this point. In the minds of the American consciousness, we've moved beyond COVID. Like, for the average American, COVID doesn't matter. COVID is still around, but people don't care about it, right? They don't think about it. The media doesn't even cover it. And even if they do, more and more of the normal crowd has a negative reaction to that sort of coverage at all. People don't want to think about COVID. It is negative feelings. They remember it with, you know, not such fond opinions. So anyone that reminds them of that, whether it be to say, look at how great my COVID policy was, or look at how my COVID policy was, people just remember, oh, COVID was. That's something important to make note of here. So now that you have no COVID equation, and Trump has the almost Joe Biden style approach to the issue of the economy, where he can just say, remember when you had real negative wages for like a year and a half? Look at how bad things are. Look at how bad the economy is. He can just keep hammering that over and over again, in the same way that Joe Biden could do that with Trump's COVID economy. Ultimately, Joe Biden's chances were going to be bad regardless, at a time when the Democratic Democratic Party is actually following through on some of the more popular agenda items, given how the economy takes a while to recover and an even longer time frame for people to recognize that recovery, it was always going to be difficult for a one-term president to take advantage of the agenda items that actually help the economy recover. Because right now, the reality is the economy is recovering. There's a lot of back and forth on Twitter on this. People go, oh, why are you talking about graphs and stats? Why are you talking about this and that? People are still suffering. It's like, yeah, people were suffering in 2019. People were suffering in 2016. People continue suffering. The economy wasn't great across the board. But if you're looking at the feelings that people have on the economy, that takes a while. It takes a while for people to look at and go, you know what? Actually, my situation is much better. It's going to take years for people to forget that it used to cost like $5 in 2019, cost like $8 or $9. Wages have not increased that much. No amount of graphs will make people ignore that. I think it's out of touch to suggest that the economy is doing okay. No, the economy is objectively doing okay in comparison to how it was in 2019. That's the problem. In 2019, the economy wasn't doing okay either. If you're comparing it to 2019 versus now, it's doing the same. The issue, however, is that in 2019, it wasn't good either. That's why you're a leftist. That's why you literally wanted Bernie Sanders to be president, right? Do you understand? That's the issue. I think it's out of touch, absolutely. No, it's not. This is not an out of touch take. You guys are wrong. If you think that the economy is like doing worse overall than 2019, you're making a stupid argument. You're making the incorrect argument. The correct argument is to say the economy doing poorly is the standard. So going back to 2019 doesn't change that reality. Do you get it? And the reason why you are still feeling like it's doing even worse than 2019 is because it takes a while for you to start recognizing that it's getting better. It takes a long time. Let's look at this Matt Brunick piece, because Matt Brunick is like the guy from the People's Policy Project. He's the guy, he's the leftist numbers guy, right? Let's read this article. He says, I've been closely monitoring the recent discourse on the goodness of the economy, 1, 2, and I think I've fully mapped it out and understand why it keeps breaking down. What is being presented as an argument about one question is actually about an argument about 3 different questions. 1, is the economy good? 2, did Joe Biden do a good job with the economy given political constraints? And 3, why do people say the economy is bad when asked by survey takers? Each of these questions is interesting when analyzed separately, but when you mush them together without realizing you are doing that, you end up in a rhetorical quagmire that causes frustration and confusion. See, like, this is what I mean. Look. You just said Biden added double the amount of jobs he was projected to add last month. What was unemployment at in 2016? The stock market doing well, or unemployment numbers looking the way they do, or our GDP does not reflect the opinions of the broadest majority of workers in the United States of America at all. The real economic issues that they are experiencing overall, it doesn't matter. You got hella people doing Uber and like multiple jobs. Those numbers are to massage the narrative ultimately, but it completely loses sight of the way people feel about the situation. And a lot of like New York Times adjacent article heads fail to recognize that for some reason. And I think a lot of people, even in this community, are making the analysis from the opposite direction when they make the analysis from the opposite direction to the New York Times guys by looking at 2019 and looking at now and going, no, it is actually much, much worse. You are forgetting, as far as economic growth or your wages going up or unemployment numbers, like even when unemployment is down, it doesn't matter. Your still sucks. And that's because the system is broken fundamentally. I think a lot of people forget that reality for some reason. Let's get back to this. Each of these questions is interesting when analyzed separately, but when you mush them together without realizing you are doing that, you end up in a rhetorical quagmire that causes frustration and confusion. My interest in the debate is mostly on the question of number 1, i.e. whether the
Palm Top Tiger says, it'd be funny if Luxander put on a Hassan video and it turned out to be a clip of Hassan leaving the stream to use the bathroom. That's happened before. Like, one of the first times I did that, the video that he, and it was funny because obviously I was only gone for like less than 5 minutes. And yeah, at some point during the 5 minutes, he had gone up to go to the bathroom. Pretty funny. Okay, so we do have one kind of other serious thing that I have planned to talk about, and that's Ohio. But we are done talking about Sophie from Mars Breadtuber drama, and I am not going to change the stream title, because I don't do that. Oh, gosh. Yeah, the Irish dancing thing, I just, it's so repetitive. The whole trans women barred from yet another fucking thing because of an alleged advantage. Like, how many times do I have to say it's not about protecting women's sports, it's just about being transphobic? Like, how many times? Over and over again, apparently. For the rest of my forevers, I have to say. Good grief. Okay, let me make sure I've got my Ohio stuff ready. Someone else posted a cat in stream chat. Oh, it was apparently ginseng is traditionally used to protect the nervous system. Ginseng is effective in memory improvement and in the direct prevention of degenerative brain diseases such as Alzheimer's disease. Ooh, so because COVID causes brain damage and early onset Alzheimer's and dementia, or sorry, probably early onset dementia. I think Alzheimer's is a specific separate thing, maybe, but like dementia for sure. So ginseng, yeah, ginseng to counter COVID. Amazing. Apparently ginseng is really easy to grow too. Like, I recently got a mint plant. I was like, oh, you know, I feel like a mint plant will survive. I had thyme before and the thyme didn't want to stay alive. Can someone explain how I can be absolutely starving, get a normal size amount of food for me, and be unable to finish half of it because I get full? Well, your stomach shrinks. I'm having the same thing. Last night, I made myself what I would consider... I know, the mint is in a pot. I have it in a pot. I'm not going to plant it. I don't have anywhere to plant it. But it will do well, is the idea. But yeah, so my stomach is really small because I don't eat... I'm doing... what's it called? Intermittent fasting. So I don't eat until the afternoon most of the time. So because I am not eating for big chunks of the day, my stomach has shrank. So when I try to eat a big meal, you know, I gave myself a normal amount of food last night, and I ended up eating most of it, and then the rest of it I just kind of left on the kitchen counter until an hour or two later, and I popped it in the microwave and finished eating it. So, you know, you might have to just eat smaller amounts of food more often. That is apparently better for you in a lot of ways anyway. I've grown thyme, peppermint, and oregano. The oregano is such a pretty herb to grow. I really almost became British for a second there. I've been watching so much of this British cooking show. Like, do you Americans out there know how the British people pronounced oregano? Do you want to know? You thought aluminium was bad. You thought that was bad. Are you ready to be destroyed? We have a 6-foot-tall rosemary bush next to our porch. Nice. I've heard rosemary water is really good for your hair, but I mostly see people talking about it who just decided to start doing it. Yeah, it's oregano. Yeah. Yeah. That's how they pronounce my brain is like jumbling them together. Oregano, like I can't. We've also got a couple of wild mint varieties fighting with each other. I didn't mean to get a basil mint plant, but that's what I did get. Basil mint. I had to look up pictures and stuff. I guess I was looking for like a sweeter mint, but that's just what they had at the store. I was like, oh, I should pick up a mint plant. That way I can use fresh mint more often. Wouldn't that be lovely to garnish? Like, nope. Oh my God. I'm so tired after that segment, you guys. Ugh. There's like 100 kinds of mint, I know. I guess I get it if oregano is an Italian word. I don't know how Italians spell or pronounce things. Oregano. Is that how an Italian would say it? I don't know. Yes. Good night. UK people, you guys are still awake. It's like 2 a.m. 6? 3? It's like 3? 2. 1? I don't know. It's late at night for you people. I live in the UK and I pronounce it as oregano. Okay. Okay, got it. 1 a.m. Got it. Needs more hands. Oregano. There you go. Racism toward the Italians. I went and got food instead of a bio break. I'm going to be making scorched rice. Today I managed to start scorching the rice, but again, chickened out. Yeah, I am such a violent perfectionist. Again, it's the trauma. I actually feel like I'm working through it right now, but like I'm a perfectionist and I really feel like worried about burning my food. Like I need to produce a meal that's good, you know, like on some level. But I've been doing this, you know, this app with all these recipes, and that is kind of making it like a little bit easier. You know, I'm willing to like, okay, this wasn't cooked perfectly. We're going to eat it anyway. Like I'll do it differently next time. I'm trying new things that I've never done before. And I'm like serving food that's not 100% perfect, which I feel is pretty significant progress, because I do have that sensation. Like if I'm not perfect, then I like everyone will leave me, I guess, is kind of fundamentally where it's going. They seem to put emphasis on the second to last syllable. Spanish does a similar thingy. Oregano. Like I did it. That's exactly how I said it. 1:15 here, and I'm making tea. Nice. Making some tea. Tea's delicious. Not really. I don't really like tea very much, but I respect the fact that it's an entire part of your culture. It's just, maybe I need a Brit to tell me how to make tea correctly. Like, what's the ratio? Can I use whole milk? Does it need to have sugar, or should it have honey? Like, do I start with a black tea? What kind? You know, I just couldn't figure it out. When I realized that I had the caffeine sensitivity and I had to stop drinking regular coffee, I really genuinely tried so hard to like tea, and I couldn't. So I just drink decaf coffee, and that's keeping it relatively well managed. So they don't do tea correctly in Britain. Britbongers can fight me. I don't care. I mean, they do have notoriously bad taste, so it's like, yeah, what do you guys usually put in your tea? You have the tea, and you guys make it with your kettle, so you pour boiling water over and then you let it sit for a little while. I drink mine with half and half and raw honey, spearmint tea. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I just know nothing about the art of doing this correctly. I'm not British. Oh, okay. Avi doesn't count. Tea means the last meal of the day in Britain. But it also is referring to the drink, yeah? Like, how do you make the drink? What do you call the drink? I want a cuppa. How do you make a cuppa? Okay? I'll listen, I'm adapting. Like, improvise, adapt, overcome. I'm trying to get on your level, okay? What do you have? Like, you're having biscuits with your cuppa. How do you make your cuppa? I'm more curious how India prepares tea, or East Asia. Also a very good point. Might have to look it up. I might have to look it up later. Maybe this is what I should have done when I tried to get into tea drinking, is go on YouTube and be like, authentic Indian style tea, and then it's like watch an actual Indian person make tea. I've been getting into gong food tea, and from what I've been learning, yeah, the British tea seems subpar. Are we being tolerant of the British now? Didn't realize you were so woke. No. Listen, there's only two people that I don't like, okay? And it's people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Brits. That's it. Yes, I just stole a joke from Austin Powers. Fight me. Thai tea is so good. I mean, I love a bubble tea, to be fair. I love a bubble tea. They're delicious. 10 out of 10 Austin Powers joke. Water, kettle, tea bag. Wait, is this in order? Oh, so cuppa is actually the worst. I used the worst terminology. Oh, no. Or your arrows are steps. Water, kettle, tea bag, milk, sugar. If you're a degenerate, cuppa. Also, I hate tea. Got it. Iced matcha. I don't like matcha. I don't like the flavor. Just not a big fan of it. Water. Anyway. I'm a filthy, disgusting degen. Right, yeah, like, but what kind of sugar? Because different sugars impart different flavors. Can I put brown sugar in my tea? Maybe that's what I was doing wrong the whole time. Like, I should have just... It had to be... Okay, I'm trying to find Aaron Reed's fucking tweet thing. It is quite earthy. Yeah, it's, it's... and it... Like, the powderiness of it makes my teeth feel bad. Brown sugar in tea is a super strong tea. Is so yum. Brown sugar... Confectionery sugar? Confectioner's sugar is just cane sugar that's been whipped real hard. Anyway. White sugar for tea, brown for coffee. I've never used brown sugar in coffee. That sounds amazing, though. I don't like honey. Bubble tea comes out of Taiwan, from my understanding. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you know, obviously I like at least one preparation of tea, and it's an Asian-style preparation of tea with the bubble tea. Honey flavor carries a lot, but it can be pretty good. I think, you know, I've heard that honey from the, you know, Great Plains Midwest area just kind of fucking sucks. So maybe I just need to live somewhere else. I was thinking about that. I was imagining my little homestead again. I was imagining my little situation, and I was like, oh, you know, it would be so easy to just have like a couple of beehives. And, you know, you can get the beehives that have this little like disengaging mechanism. It's got like plastic honeycomb in it, so they don't have to make any of the honey. Yeah. You gotta have at least one hive that has the beeswax, because wax is so fucking useful. But they do make hives that are like supposed to be minimally intrusive to the bees, that they just kind of like, it's a big plastic thing with all the hexagons, and it just kind of like pops apart, and then the honey flows down and like it's got like a spigot, and then it just pours out, right? As opposed to having to go in and take out the honeycomb. But sometimes you want to harvest honeycomb because it's wax that you can have. Like, it's because the bees in other countries have more tasty flowers to eat. I know, we've killed all of the nature and the biodiversity, and it's fucking stupid. Anyway, man, I do kind of want a bubble tea now, but I think it's just because I want something with sugar in it. I think that really what's going on is I'm just hungry and I want something with sugar in it. I do miss Arizona honey. Now, I've had some flavored honeys that are quite delicious. I work at the Renaissance Festival, and I've got some friends who work at the honey booth there. And so we've got some flavored honeys that are really yummy. We have a serrano pepper honey and a black garlic infused honey that are really yummy if you eat them together. You should eat chicken and waffles. I've never had chicken and waffles. I would, though. I would eat chicken and waffles. I just have never really had the opportunity. The queen is going to tell most of the drones to die anyways over the winter, to reduce the amount of food that they're eating, I'm sure. Black mangrove honey is delicious. By the way, sorry folks, like if you're here and you're not usually here, you're here for drama. We do this on my stream a lot, where we just start talking about food and animals and homesteading and like how to do things in a sustainable manner. Like we talk about climate change. You know, we like, obviously our main story most of the time is some political nonsense. I'm ramping up to talking about Ohio and their political nonsense that they've got going on right now. But, you know, I also just kind of go off on these random tangents. Garlic fermented in honey is amazing. Ooh, wait, how does that work? I thought that like honey, so garlic and honey are both kind of like hostile to living things. Like garlic is hostile to living things. Like garlic doesn't ever really get moldy that I know of. Like it's antagonistic to living things. So like, and then honey is super shelf stable because it has such a high concentration of sugar. Like at a certain point, at a high enough concentration of sugar, it does become like against life. Like it no longer is good circumstances for life to grow. So garlic fermented in honey, I don't like, that sounds physically impossible. What's up, Spencer? Hello. Flow hives, from what I've seen, is bad for the bees because they don't have the scaffolding to create propolis, which is what protects bees from diseases. Most beekeepers I watch always use wood frame hives. Good to know. Listen, I've never researched it. I don't know what the way to do beekeeping is. I just thought like, oh, you know, that's actually a really important practical thing that you should have. Like the bees. It's the hatred that makes garlic delicious. I love garlic. I eat so much. I don't like overdo it. Garlic gives you botulism if stored in oil. If stored in oil? Interesting. But garlic... interesting. I didn't know that garlic could give you botulism. I'll have to look into that. Because we have some, like, pickled garlic in our fridge. And it's like... I think that it should be fine because it's pickled, right? It's like pickled garlic, which means that it's been preserved, right? I don't know, but if there's botulism on the table, maybe I should not eat the pickled garlic past its date. Scary stuff. Finally e-filed my petition to change my name. High five! Excellent stuff. I changed my name a long time ago. And I did not go through the normal process because I just got married. And I changed my name when I got married. They let you do that, it turns out. So, yeah. Okay, this Ohio thing. It's just peeled garlic stored under honey for a period. It does break down. Okay, fascinating. Later, Jira, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. Having, making, doing tea. Ambiguous, probably the food. Having, making, doing some tea. Ambiguous, probably the drink. Cooking/eating tea, always the food. Drinking tea, always the drink. So because tea both refers to one of your meals and the drink, you have to distinguish. If you say, oh, we're going to be having tea, that could mean either the drink or the food, but it probably means the food. If you say, we're going to be having some tea, that probably means the drink, but it could be both. Okay, that's fascinating. When I changed my name, they asked me for the marriage certificate at the DMV. The look on the guy's face when he figured out I'm trans was priceless. Yeah, because you were a woman and they came in and they assumed that you were changing your name because you were changing your last name. That's cute. What's up, Arden? Welcome in. Hello. Arden Rose. Different and distinct from Arden Heart. Welcome in. So we're going to be doing this little Ohio thing, and then I probably am going to run out of steam after that. I need to eat some food. But it's been a really amazing stream. Yeah, no. I have talked to Arden Hart before. I've been on the Transatlantic Call-In show, but I don't think she casually hangs out in my stream chat. I don't think she does that. Maybe. I don't know. I'd be surprised, though. I didn't know that Arden was such a popular name till I started using it, and now I see it everywhere. Listen, I'm also seeing the name Luxander being used by other people, and I'm like, dude, I just threw some shit together. This was not a name. As far as I know, Luxander was not a name until I made it one. And so it's, like, weird to see other people named that. Or, like, I'm like, why? I have talked to Arden if calling into the show counts. Yeah, I think it counts. Definitely counts. Okay, Aaron Reed, stuff about Ohio. Lux, just Lux was one of my name choices. Yeah, I've seen people named Lux, that's fine. That's a lot less weird. I am looking for the tweet thread. Okay, I think this is the main thing. Oh my god, did you guys see that links were broken on Twitter today? What's your opinion on the Pokemon Luxray? I mean, he's pretty cute. It seems like it's an electric type based on the, like, dark and electric type, maybe? Based on the... Oh, I guess there's a bunch of Pokemon cards on the screen, so I could have looked at those. But I was just looking at his physical attributes and like, okay, that's an electric type Pokemon. So, like, he's fine. I don't know anything about him. Does he have good stats? I don't know. He's not that cute. Frankly, I like Jolteon better than this guy, as far as, like, vaguely, like splices between cats and canids who are, like, electric types. Prefer Jolteon. Luxray is pure electric. Okay, good to know. I don't have strong opinions. I mean, he's a pass, if that's what you're asking. Luxray, that's going to be a pass from me. I've overdosed on the sour cream and milk, so my lactose intolerance is kicking my butt. I haven't conclusively determined that I know I have some kind of digestive problem, but I don't know if it's just stress-induced or if it's like I should not be eating something that I'm eating right now. But I haven't been able to really fully commit to like cutting out the foods that you need to cut out in order to find out what your problem is. You know what I mean? Luxray is a mid-speedy attacker and has a hidden ability to increase his damage if he has a status condition. Oh, cool. That's neat. Oh, I don't really need Hassan anymore, do I? He cannot tank more than one hit. I've tried. Okay, so he's like a clothy. He's like a clothy. He's a mage, is what he is. Where am I? Okay. But yeah, apparently links were broken on... Was there... Allegedly, there was some specific thing being linked to on Twitter today, and like apparently links on the whole were taken down because to like avoid people being able to click on this article about how Elon sucks. I don't know what exactly it was. Luxander the trendsetter. That's true. I'm the most trend-settingist. See, if I had my... I just need like... What is it? Like $15 to buy my mug so that I can have my own branded mug and then I can drink water out of my own mug. That would be crazy. Yum. We spoke recently about an anti-trans bill in Ohio that they were trying to push through that was kind of a double whammy. It's going to make it to where trans girls can't participate on sports teams, and probably not just sports teams, but other competitive teams as well. And also is going to like limit trans people, like youth, having access to gender affirmative care. Previously we discussed this most recently because the first meeting that they had was a proponents only hearing. Like only people who supported the anti-trans bill were allowed to speak. And they said all kinds of crazy stuff. Like they said, you know, we need to rely on social ostracization to discourage kids from being trans. Like we need to use conversion therapy practices on them because it's better for them to not be trans. Like they are basically fully going with that, okay? Little update. Like here's a little brief window of update, and then we're going to move on to the next aspect of it because they did have an opponents only meeting. Generally speaking, they schedule both of them at the same time. They scheduled the proponents and the opponents meeting, but they refused to schedule the other one. So it was sort of not sure whether it was going to occur, but it did. And there were something like 500 people who showed up, to speak against the bill. Whereas there were only like 40 or 50 people who showed up to speak in support of the bill. And it was pointed out by someone in this proceedings that of the people who were opposing the bill, the overwhelming majority of them are people who live in Ohio versus the people who were supporting the bill. Again, the people supporting the anti-trans bill were folks who were being like flown in to testify or whatever, however you would say that. So this is now, after both of those meetings have been held where they've heard the people discuss, now they're going to like vote on it in committee, basically. Like it's in the Senate right now. They're voting on whether to make any amendments so that they can then send it back to the House so that the House can then confirm it. Okay, so because this is happening in the Senate. So we're looking into the resolutions on all, like today they discussed all kinds of different stuff. And this was amongst the list. So it's HB 68, Aaron Reed posting about it. This bill would ban gender-affirming care for trans youth in Ohio and ban them from sports, including college students. I didn't know including college students, ranging from dancing to darts, all these different sports. In Ohio, leaders of the best hospitals in the nation. Yeah, frankly, like, we didn't cover it on stream, but like, honestly, you should read this article from Aaron Reed, because the hospitals, like the doctors testifying on behalf of the hospitals against this trans youth ban, they really just, I mean, it's unfortunate that it made zero difference in the end. Spoiler alert, it made zero difference in the end. All of these experts and this 500 people showing up, like, they really did a great job of presenting the facts, presenting the arguments. And it's, again, unfortunate that all that hard work ended up not panning out in this instance. They were just kind of ignored on all of the major points. But it's worth reading. It's hopeful. It feels nice to know that there are so many medical professionals and so many medical institutions who are willing to go to bat for us. Feels good. But, so Claire Rugner reporting that the bill will not apply to intersex people. She's being clear. It codifies that non-consensual intersex surgeries are allowed every goddamn time, every single time, while trans youth cannot begin hormone therapy or obtain puberty blockers every time. Because again, and it's not hypocritical for them to be against mutilating children when it comes to trans people, but pro-mutilating children when it comes to intersex people. Because again, they are not against mutilation of children. They are against abnormalities. They are okay with mutilating children if it normalizes them, because ultimately the gender binary is being put above everybody's well-being. Again, it's like, do be clear, it's not hypocritical. Their values are be binary or be dead, and they're sticking to that gun. Like, they're sticking to it. And of course, they'll deny out both sides of their mouth that it's not, they'll say it's not a cis supremacist project. They don't believe that being trans is bad. Oh, you should be allowed to blah, blah, blah. No. Don't be tricked by this. During the bill's proponent hearing, we heard that the plan for trans youth who are banned from care was, quote, family rejection and conversion therapy. Again, you should really, like, if you are interested in more details on this, read more of Aaron Reed's articles. Like, she's where I'm getting a lot of my news about this, because she's, like otherwise, I'm going to have to sit here and watch this 4-hour video of them going through this whole proceeding. So her work is invaluable. I should probably just set up a monthly donation to her. Senator Rugner talks about the amendments. They're adding a grandfather clause, and that means, you know, if you are already on the care, even if you're a 16-year-old and they've now decided 16-year-olds can't get this care, but if you're already on it, you can stay on it, which is like, to Ohio youth who are already on hormones, they are not going to take it away from you. Like, I'm pretty sure that the grandfather clause was included in it in the end. And if not, you can always travel to get your meds. You know, it's always an option. I mean, at the end of the day, this is going to force some people to leave the state, unfortunately. That is, like, always going to be the result, because there's kids out there who aren't in the correct stage of puberty to start treatment yet. And so, okay, well, they're going to have to move now because they can't start the treatment under this law, because it did pass. So in other states, the grandfather clause has not translated into actual protection. I haven't looked super far into it, but it would not surprise me to find that just because there's a grandfather clause doesn't mean that the doctors themselves are worried about retributive action and dropping patients just in case. Aaron Reed is honestly probably the singular best journalist covering trans issues in the world. She deserves a Pulitzer and more besides. She does. Like, I should just set up a monthly donation to her, because, like, her work is invaluable. It is so helpful. Claire reiterating, female athletes are being robbed and severely injured by trans people. Aaron posting statistics that there's no evidence showing trans people are causing injuries more often than cis people. Meanwhile, trans people are being banned from things that shouldn't have anything to do with injury, but they're being robbed, which is still relevant, I guess. Chess, darts, fishing, and dancing. Regner compares following best medical practices and working with a doctor on obtaining gender-affirming care to, quote, allowing youth to use drugs. She just was not listening to anything anybody said to her at the opponent's hearing. She says, trans people are real, and they suffer, and they deserve dignity and love. What they do not deserve are fads. I hate this. There's no hate like Christian love. Like, she's a Christian, undoubtedly, and she's like, oh, like, trans people deserve love. What they don't deserve is fucking treatment. Like, that's always what's happening at the end. Like, yes, to be clear, the proponents, the alternative to transition that they are proposing is, like, conversion practices. family rejection, utilizing shame and rejection to manipulate people into desisting from being trans. Senator Hicks Hudson, who is a Democrat, moves an amendment to follow the suggestions of the doctors and medical leaders who testified by forming a trans commission made up of healthcare leaders to determine the correct way to go forward on care. Like, the suggestion from the medical professionals was let a team of medical professionals under the guidance of the Senate, if you want to do it that way, under the guidance of the congressional meeting that you're setting up here, we will conduct an investigation determining the correct way forward on care. Do you want to bet whether that amendment ended up added to the thing or not? Senator Regner opposes it due to it taking out the trans athletics part of the bill. She's also upset that the amendment erases the bill. I'm not sure exactly what that means. She's doing a live reporting here. Chair Regner claims there is, quote, strong public support for targeting trans people. However, that is not true. Obviously, many people have opinions. The vast majority oppose the legislation. Oh, this is cool. So even amongst these people who are saying, they have reservations on, whether trans kids should get health care, who do you think should be able to make the final decision about whether or not a transgender minor can access gender-affirming care? The minor's parents, a lot of people said. The minor's doctor, some people said. The elected state lawmakers where the minor lives, drastically fewer people said. And some folks didn't know. Some folks are I don't know what the right answer is. Who gets the final say? But the not the overwhelming majority, I shouldn't say, but definitely the majority. It's not a plurality. It's a majority across the board, with the exception of some people, a couple of groups. Overwhelmingly, it's more than 50% of folks who think that the minor's parents should have the final say on whether a trans minor can access gender-affirming medical care. And, I've got my complaints about parents having unilateral control over their children. I don't necessarily think that a 16-year-old should need their parents' approval in order to do hormones, but that's my personal opinion. I just think that your parents shouldn't be allowed to obstruct you from receiving appropriate medical care, is ultimately what it comes down to. But, yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we also know, yes, we've gone over these elections and stuff. If you claim there's popular support, you can't claim that you can, but you're lying because, everybody who ran on hardcore anti-trans election ads and stuff, even Democratic Governor Beshear won his election after millions of dollars in ads targeting him for not denouncing trans people, I'm pretty sure is what it was. So Senator Hicks Hudson reports that for the bill, 43 proponents of the bill submitted testimony versus 525 against the bill. Yeah, I love that Senator Hicks called this out right in the moment. Senator Hicks Hudson saying, you cannot claim that it's popular opinion to make anti-trans law when 43 proponents showed up and 500 opponents showed up. It's literally 10 times more people. More than 10 times more people. Also, who is this? This is someone else talking, I guess. Of the 43 who testified for this bill, most were shipped in from out of state, paid by high-dollar special interest votes. However, almost everyone who spoke against the bill were virtually all from Ohio, so it seems like people who live in Ohio don't want this to happen. He turns to speak to the trans people. My Democratic colleagues and I will continue to fight for you, and I personally will not stop until Ohio is a safe place for you to live. I am sorry that this state is not safe for you to live now, and I apologize to all of you personally. Yeah. It sucks that these Democrats are, stuck in this place. And, is the governor a Democrat? I don't know. I hope that he vetoes it. And I don't know if they have the majority required. That's, so many questions about how this is going to go in the future. Senator Brenner speaks saying, please show me your scientific evidence that backs up what you're doing. And then, of course, Aaron provides a lot of statistics here. He also says that the, quote, Sweden's socialist democrat government is pulling back and references the Swedish study, which has been widely debunked. This is Ohio. Of course, they're claiming that there's no high-quality evidence, whereas there's tons of evidence. They can just lie and say this is unsupported, it's experimental, when it's clearly not. if you say you want to listen to the science, but then you vote down the amendment that would create the commission to follow the science, what are you doing? Thank you. Like, I don't know what this dude's name is, but thank you. Dude, like, for real, thank you. Senator Johnson quips that when he was a drug treatment doctor, quote, that was the field I saw the most trans people. He'll probably see more with laws targeting them and harming their mental health. I think that he's trying to insinuate that trans people are doing drugs, basically, like, oh, that they do drugs more than other people. But, I mean, you know, you could also reframe it as trans people engage in, like, risky coping behavior more than other people do. And, like, yeah, that's true. Well, cop to that. Excuse me. Senator Antonio moves an amendment that would remove the provision that bans, quote, aiding and abetting gender-affirming care. Yeah, so they are also trying to make it so that doctors can't even give you a suggestion. Like, if you tell a kid's parents, well, you know, I can't provide this care in the state of Ohio, but I do think that your child might be a good candidate for hormone replacement therapy, so you should take them to the next state over and get that care. The doctor who tells you, like, oh, I'm going to make a referral for you to this other clinic in another state, like, that would be aiding and abetting the acquisition of gender affirmative care. And it seems like they've tried to put some provision in here that would make that, like, legally actionable. So that's terrifying. Senator Renner opposes and says no doctor should assist in breaking Ohio law. Plans to target healthcare professionals who, quote, aid and abet gender-affirming care, which goes beyond what a lot of other bans are doing here. So the amendment fails 25-7. So, you know, when the bill passes later on in this narrative, medical practitioners who even advise on getting gender-affirming care will be running afoul of the law. Let's see. This bill bans trans people from gender-affirming care, but still lets cis kids get liposuction. That's a paraphrase from this, I think, mother speaking. Or is this another member? I don't know. She's not labeling people's names very well. Calling the bill for the vote. So it passed the Senate with some amendments. It has already passed the House. So it's going to be... It has been amended, so it has to go back to the House and be voted on again there. But this bans gender-affirming care for trans youth and ends the sports as well. So that's where things are at for Ohio. The thing that you should do now, because it's likely to pass the House, if you're interested in getting involved, I would say that you should get in touch with the governor. Let me see. Ohio governor... His name is Mike DeWine. He's a Republican, so it looks like he's probably going to he's probably going to sign it. But if he is, it's possible to sway him. Maybe, you know, getting in touch with him is going to be the only way to prevent this from happening. But it's, you can if you want to. It might be more effective if you yell at him in a restaurant or show up at his house and do completely non-threatening things. But yeah, it seems like Ohio is another one bites the dust, but a doom. You know what I mean? How is it breaking Ohio law to go to another state and do a thing that's legal there? It's just about control. We see the same thing with Republicans and abortion. Anybody who buys the, quote, states' rights line is a fucking idiot. Yeah, again, like, the whole fucking point of state lines is that you could be doing something legally in one location that is not legal in another location, and your physical location that is what makes it illegal or not. But yeah, so, you know, hypothetically, if they didn't have the aiding and abetting provision, it would not be against Ohio law to help someone access medical care somewhere else. But yeah, now it is very soon probably going to be against the law in Ohio to even suggest to a parent that their kids should seek gender-affirming care in a location where it's legal to do so. If they're good doctors, they'll probably be smart, and they'll say things like, you know, I am not legally allowed to tell you that your child might have gender dysphoria and that they may be able to seek treatment for that in a place that has it be legal. You know, like, they're going to have to do all kinds of silly things. And doctors do that stuff all the time already. I will say, you know, shout out to the high quality doctors who are willing to help you get the medical care that you need and willing to kind of fudge the rules a little bit for you, because it happens all the time. And like, I think that's like it's necessary. You have to resist. When fascism is encroaching, you have to resist. If you are in that position of power, you have to be more concerned with your patients than you are with being sued or whatever the ramification is. Obviously, if you lose your license to medicine, like that's, you're not going to be able to continue to help people. So if that's what's at stake, then you are probably a little bit more limited, but like anything you can do within that context is like obviously better than nothing. Like, oh my God. I don't know if there's any. I'm gonna see if there's anything else real quick. I don't think there's anything else to add to this one, but I'm looking real fast. Like, so many people showed up for this. Not only were there tons of people testifying, but there were also people protesting outside the State House. At the beginning of this meeting, you could like hear people. Erin says, here. She says, not sure if it's related, but you can hear chanting every now and then out of the doors. There are reports that people have headed to the State House to protest. But you can claim that there's public support and then gerrymander and fabricate and manufacture consent. And apparently, in the currently existing system, there's not a lot you can do about that. So, yay. Isn't child marriage legal in Ohio? Is Ohio one of the ones that did the thing where they made abortion illegal and then someone had to leave the state because their kid had been impregnated by a sexual assault situation? Like, wasn't that Ohio? Ohio is like really gunning to be one of the worst places. They're like, we need to bring the South up north. That's what Ohio is trying to do. Is Ohio even real? Yeah, I know people who live there. Feel bad for them. Only a few states ban child marriage. Yeah, I know. With consent of the parent. Yeah, this is a ridiculous country that we live in where people are trying to limit a parent's right to consent to medical care, but they will allow a parent to consent to their child getting married, potentially impregnated, and forced to give birth, which causes, like, I'm pretty sure that one of the main reasons that, obviously, like, humans have not really evolved to handle how big our brains are in terms of giving birth. So a lot of women give birth and die in the process because we're just bad at it. But I do kind of suspect that a big portion of the reason why historically the numbers were so high was because young women were being impregnated who were not done growing. Like, young people who are like 15. Like, if you're 15, you kind of shouldn't be shoving an entire human being out of you. You're not done growing. So I'm sure that contributed to the problem. Yeah, maybe we should study the French Revolution. Maybe we should examine and do a little history lesson. A completely harmless history lesson on the history of the French Revolution. Like, what an interesting time in history. You know what? I'm learning French on Duolingo again. It's not fully safe to give birth till your 20s. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't be doing that when you're young. But so, yeah, like learning French and reading about the French Revolution is such a great tie-in. So good for me. I need new chapstick. My lips are really screwed. Good grief. Is there anything else that we absolutely should talk about? Because I feel like I'm pretty much ready to wind this shit down and try to find myself something to eat. Also, Julius Caesar, true. It's never truly safe to give birth, which is why nobody should be forced to do it. Yeah, it's never fully safe to give birth. So many things about the process can really seriously harm you. I'm out of water again. I drink so much water. Well, if we don't have anything else, I might call it a night. Luxander fish arc? Wait, what? Do I become a fish? I have a friend who's due next week. She already had one ectopic pregnancy and got treatment just before Roe got overturned. Man, I hope after she has her perfectly healthy, amazing baby that she can get her tubes tied, because I worry that she would be... I wonder if you, like, if you get one ectopic pregnancy, I wonder if it's like you're likely to get another one. I don't know. I've never looked into that before. If you breathe more water than air, you become fish. True. Breathing air, breathing water. Very glad that we have a super experienced midwife who's pro being upright and in the tub during most of the labor. High five. She wants 2 kids. RIP. Well, hopefully she doesn't have another ectopic pregnancy, because obviously that would be quite difficult to deal with. 5 months till a new baby. High five. Kitty tick. New parenthood. Are you new at it? It's your first baby? It's exciting. It's exciting and scary. Big change. Big stuff happening. I'm getting rid of some of my tabs while I'm here vamping. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely sleepy. So I think that I'm gonna go ahead and dip for tonight. And see you again on Sunday for even more news. Even more news. Even more news. Oh my God. Okay, my foot is tingly. Okay.